we gonna get through it.
Okay.
All right, we're live. Let me go ahead and share this on the page real quick. I'm gonna try to do this as fast as possible because it tries to kick me out a lot of times.
Yeah, and after you do it, then I'm gonna go do it because that's what I did last time. And then it'll come back. It'll be staticky for like maybe the first, 10 seconds, and then it should clear up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this topic was right on.
Oh, sure.
Because I'm like, okay, if I'm missing it, you already know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to get
Well,
together. I want to be on a good foot.
We're gonna be on a couple of things. We definitely want to.
I give it for you.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. I think Walisha froze. I think she's froze. Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I think she's froze. Every time she goes in that car, she freezes up.
She ain't
Every
good.
time.
Or am I not good?
There she go.
Okay.
Damn, I'm thinking it's you and it's me.
Yeah. Every time you get in the car, it it does not. The car and the live stream do not agree.
Man, it was hard for me to do it the other day.
Yeah. I thought she was going to be at home though. I thought she was going to be at home. Yeah, because she started at home, so I don't know if she's en route. But all right, let's go ahead and get the show started. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are in the building. Good morning.
Hey.
To apologize. Again, I don't want to keep apologizing because we've disclosed the situation that happens for the past 3 weeks. We do have to wait until the doors open at the Ohio Media School before we could all come in and do our thing. We do arrive on time, but we do have to make sure that the doors are open. As you can see, me and Tim is in the building while Alicia is joining us as well. We're waiting for her to come back in. But we have some great topics for you. 2 topics, actually. We're going to try to tackle the first one because, Tim, let me give you a little bit of background. Tim came on the show about a year ago. I don't know when our year anniversary is, but Tim came on this show in replacing what was it you were playing? Redefining Thursdays. It was Redefining Thursdays with Dr. Jesse Saunders. He did come in to replace that with Reflection Thursdays with his own brand of talking about mental health amongst the African American community. Our chemistries clicked, and we just continue to build from here. People were used to seeing one face on Thursday, and so we did have to the audience did have to make an adjustment by seeing a different face. But as they grew with us, man, we grew this into what it is today, man. And I was so happy when he showed me the feedback of some people that said, "Hey, we listen to you guys and we like the debate, we like the opinions and things of that nature." So, man, shout out to all the listeners that tap in to us, man. But the reason why this week is so special is that when you own a bike for so long, it's kind of hard to let somebody else drive the car or or ride the bike. And I've always encouraged Tim to come up with the topics because, again, this started out as Tim's show, on Thursday. But he just really stepped up this week and said, let me go ahead and, run with the topic. And I thought it was a dope topic. I was talking about people's false sense of security and peace. And he was a little nice with it. He's not usually that nice. So I wanted to be a little bit more blunt and to say, why are people so damn delusional? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot. And so that's where we're going to start the conversation. Let me see if Walli is back in. Hopefully we get some better audio from her. Let me give me 1 second.
Oh, sure.
1 2. I think she's trying to come in.
Yeah, it's waiting for me too.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but I already can tell it's going to go in and out. I can already see.
Well, and that's only because I just y'all know I'm slinging these pies today, and I got to make a quick run, and the place that I was at was pulling me from my phone to the inside Wi-Fi. Woo woo. So now that I'm out here, it should be better.
You should be okay. Okay, cool. All right, so we will go ahead and start that conversation. Well, first of all, why that particular topic? Because I mean, when you put it in there, man, just so many faces just came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, yes, this is the topic. So why are we about why are people so damn delusional in 2023?
I was watching a lecture and it spoke that to me. You know, they was talking along those lines. And then when I started thinking about it, I was like, okay, I think this applies to a lot more people. You know what I mean? Than I'm thinking of and myself. So I'm like, this is something we really need to discuss. You know, it's one of those hard truths about human nature. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I had to reconsider this a while ago because when you
Right.
look at people, when you think about yourself, you think, okay, this person's engaging in this activity, they must like it, or it
Right.
must be fun, or it must be helping them out. You know what I mean? And when you
Mm-hmm.
get older, you realize that's not always the case. It's not always. Sometimes none of those three things are true. And I think there's two trains of thought. I think there's one train of thought that some of us are just overachievers and over accomplishers. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Right.
I've learned to be not so judgmental with people who quote unquote want to have a normal life. Because I've never wanted a normal life for myself. I've always wanted more. I've always wanted to push myself. I always wanted to go as far as I can go. You know what I mean? Um, so I think all of this convenience that we've built around ourselves has built content, convenient lives. But I think our ego and our pride is not allowing us to just admit that we live a very comfortable, safe, secure life now. And back in
Yeah.
the day, again, life was hard. They may
Yeah.
only have one job and just had to worry about their family, but man, they can go outside and get hung. They can have a white person come in their house and just take all their food and their money. They can
Yeah.
go to their job and the job just like, nah, not today. Go home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we got out of all of that. Like you were saying with my generation. We don't like a job, we go get a new job. We don't like a girlfriend, you go get a new girlfriend. You don't like where you live, you go live somewhere else. You
And
never
that
have
Right.
to
The
really
phone,
deal
even
with the
with the phone.
problem. You know what I
and there
mean? And I think we've gotten too comfortable with not dealing with the problem. And it's created a lot of delusionally strong people who, when they get pressure and adversity, they feel weak. You know what I mean? They have all these muscles, but they can't lift the bar at the gym. Like
yeah.
it's useless muscles. They don't work with this type of lifestyle we're trying to live. So I think that's where a lot of us are hurting right now.
Well, they don't focus on strength. I mean, they have the display, and
Yeah,
this is a perfect metaphor. They have the perfect display, but no sense of strength. And I think that's why a lot of people, when they really cringe when I use the word brittle, you know, since
yeah.
Adrian Boudoir, who's on the check-in, and anybody else who has tapped into us. This is Good Friday, the Layne Luv Morning Show. Man, I thank everybody for being on the check-in. Wiley is here as well. Um, but going back to
Can I add that brittle is a hurtful word? I don't know why that brittle triggers something.
anytime I use it, it always gets followed by an argument because that's really calling somebody weak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And,
because it's like, who hurt you? Why are you so brittle? Like,
yeah.
it's like,
yeah, it hurts, but that's the only word that really comes to mind when I see people crumble at the sight of trouble. When I see people crumble or can't communicate, right? You know, let
Mm.
or at least look at the problem. Most people would rather. She said brittle hurts, and that was a word that I got from Dave Chappelle. It was basically stating, and we're not going to get into a battle of the sexes convo today, but he was just talking about how uh, today's people have a brittle spirit because you could have done something 20 years ago. You could be a brand new person today, but they will strip everything from you or talk about you like a dirty dog by bringing this thing up that you probably did in your older self. So we saying a brittle spirit, like somebody said that C.K. Lewis was having phone sex over the phone and they wanted to file a lawsuit. He's like, can you just hang up the phone? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
bro,
why were you that traumatized that somebody uh, somebody, I guess, violated you over the phone, you could have just hung up the phone instead of being, oh my God, I'm so traumatized.
I love how you explained what you consider brittle. Because I
Right,
think
yeah.
now in retrospect, I can agree with you in our last conversation when you were calling like our generation brittle to an extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see what you were saying. And parts of me now, like with that understanding, I agree. And that is something that I'm working on with my generation. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just gotta do the work and shut up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you went and got that job, and that job making you work 6 hours a week. Like we don't want to hear you complain about it. You know what I mean? Like
But the
that's what you signed up for. Go do the job. You know,
but
sometimes your parents is gonna challenge you, your friends is gonna challenge you, and I know that's upsetting. I know you want to complain, you want to talk shit, but you just gotta go do the work. You gotta go do the job, and a lot of us it annoys me sometimes. Like we do complain when we don't need to complain. We just need to
Yes,
go do the job.
or
yes,
there is no tone to tell the generation the truth about what's ahead. So going back to tone, like a lot of times,
yeah,
and that's both ways, right? Because a
Yeah.
lot when the millennials speak truth to Generation X and baby boomers, we be like, well, you should respect. Well, okay. Well, let's not be delusional. Let's say is what they're saying is true. So let me interject real quick because shout out to Burrs who is in Egypt right now. Burrs is in
Ashe. Ashe. My people
but
traveling the world.
yeah,
yes.
but he proposed this this particular thing that you're talking about, Tim, and he said there's a difference between appreciative and like. You can appreciate,
Mm,
but you don't have to like it, right?
right.
Prime
Right.
example. All you had was oatmeal in the house. If all you had was oatmeal, you don't have to like the fact that you have just oatmeal, but you can appreciate that you have food when you go to Africa, and there might be 2, 3,
Mm,
4, and 5 days where somebody can, if they probably don't even get porridge. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Or the food that they get is so picked over and mauled over that it's just nourishment. I like to point you to the movie Nowhere, which is going crazy on Netflix right now. When the lady was so hungry she had to eat her placenta for protein. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, of course, that's an extreme situation, but we don't realize that around the world there are extreme situations. And I was telling my spouse in the movie Nowhere, I said, that's what America is going to look like if we have a food shortage. I promise you. Um, that's what the world is going to look like if we have a food shortage where you can't go from border to border. There's going to be martial law. There's going to be certain things because there will be chaos in the country.
Yeah.
We take food. I mean, we talk about the as high as food is right now. Just think if it got any higher to where we could not afford that. Do you think that we will not revolt? You know what I'm saying? So again, going back to your topic, we are delusional as
Yeah.
far as what the state of the world could be in the blink of an eye.
I need to hop in
Go ahead, sis.
to go a collar deep on y'all.
But I
And
like everything you said, Delane, too.
Thank
yes,
you.
same. Yes, I love it. And hello to the people that's on as well, sharing and tuned in. But I had a whole situation I was actually telling Delane about on the before we started,
Hmm.
where my mother has agreed to help me on my journey right now. I didn't go to her personally and ask for help. You know, this is what we do. She's a little bit of me. You don't necessarily have to ask for it when we know you need it.
Oh, sure.
But in doing so, I had a phone call with the children this morning, and my daughter had a band-aid across her nose. And I was like, you know, why are you wearing a band-aid to school? Like, well, oh, it was hurting and da 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 da. So immediately she like, I'm worried for the children. You need your girls,
Mm,
like you need to be in their life, and you need to da da da. I said, first of all, I'm cooking. And I don't do no conversations, no heated conversations around food. We keep the peace because it's feeding people's souls. Second of all, if you're so concerned, call them. Like
right.
And like I had to, like, it is, I'm living in this situation and I cannot afford to be worried while I'm trying to build some shit. I can't do that. I said, and I'm not even worried about myself, and I don't mean that to say that I'm not careful with myself or nothing like that. I'm just saying I'm not worried. Like, I'm not, it's not a like, oh my gosh, where is this gonna come from or whatever. It's not a worry.
Yeah.
Right. I've worried before. I got a 23-year-old, so I know what it means to worry for your children or even for situations to work out in your favor and that and the other, rather than just having faith and believing. I know the difference. So when it comes to this conversation, I actually said you should be more worried about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And no disrespect to my mother, because I love her dearly. I'm so thankful that she is a cheerleader and she is supportive of me. But and my heart of hearts is like, damn, some people really have taken the energy they should be putting on their own self and what their own situation is and putting it to somebody else. And you out of pocket, you out of line, and it's causing confusion.
Well,
Like,
sometimes people do reject wisdom from other people, and that's and a lot of times I've seen this in the younger generation, is that there's an older person that wants to speak life into them or wants to deter them from making certain mistakes. So the younger person will say, well, you don't have your life all together either. What the hell does that have to do with anything? I'm trying to get you to understand, hey,
right. And so,
your behavior is basically what's going to probably do you in foresight, right? But people will, when, as Tim is saying, under the delusional banner, they don't want to face a harsh reality of behavioral things that they're doing. So somebody tries to at least give them a bit of truth. They're like, well, you have it all together. So that's for some. I'm not saying you, but for some,
Yeah.
right.
cop out so that they don't have to look at their truth and they don't have to change their behavior. But go ahead, Wally.
I
I
think
was going.
that's my truth. Like, and I was telling her, I said, because she said the same thing. You just don't want to hear what I have to say. You never want to hear. And I was like, no, it's like I can't. This situation is what it is right now. You
Yeah.
understand? Like, I can wreck my brain on how to bring my children back to Ohio and do all this other stuff, but I am building something bigger than what I can even imagine. And so, not saying that I don't get them on their breaks or get them in the summer, but I can't stress about where they're at now. Like, I'm thankful because, again, I've been a mother since 16. You know what I'm saying? I was the one who sacrificed all of these years and giving them to my children. And the universe did this. I didn't do this. Like, I didn't say, hey, I'm going to be away from my children and they're going to be there. This is the way the cards fell out. And now that they're here, I had to go deeper in and be like, what does this really mean? Or I was, at first, I was trying to force and push. I'm like, nope, I'm getting my children back. I'm doing this, that, and the other. And it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
This
So
is not.
when you say the universe, does that mean that wherever you are in your situation weren't based off of choices that you made?
And I want to interject on both of what both y'all saying.
Yeah, so no, yes, my choices that I made. I think I'm talking about in terms of how everything unfolded. Like, I would have never been like, hey, I'm going to give up custody of my children or have them live in another state away from me. That wasn't my initial plan. That wasn't based on and it was based on my decision making, because once I found out what I was up against, I didn't go and get the money to get a lawyer to fight it. I just said, you know what, this is probably the way it's supposed to be, and I'm gonna have to be okay with that, because I can stress myself out about the finances that I don't have and the law system that I don't understand right now, or I could deal with it the way that it is. And I'm thankful that I did, because it grew me in a way. And like I said, for me personally, I would have never had no time away from my children. I would have never took this time away from my children.
I have a twofold, but go ahead, Tim. I want to hear your.
Yeah. Okay. So
I have a twofold for that one.
I see both sides of what both of you are saying. You know what I mean? And I think that's the uniqueness of, like, raising each child is going to be a different experience. Like, you can look at things one way, one kid can look at one things one way, another kid can look at things another way. That's why we have to be open to everybody's experience in the situation. You know what I mean? And I see both sides. I see the urge to want someone which you consider better for them. You know what I mean? I understand that. But I think, and this is something that's why I love that we brought up the last conversation we had, because I think all of this kind of is on point with, you know what I mean, the
It's
generational thing and the delusion, because both sides has delusion. Don't get
it's
me wrong.
it's
Both
genuine.
sides got delusion. And what I hear from Walisha's side, speaking for myself, because I've been in her situation, I've had that same conversation with my mother. And sometimes, I'll speak in this in a broad term. This isn't just my mom that does this. A lot of people do this to me. But sometimes people hear me speak and they'll hear me say, you know what? I'm healing. And in their head, that version of me is a completely healed version of me. I don't do no wrong. I don't jaywalk. I don't steal. I tithe. I pay my taxes. I can't do anything wrong because I'm on this quote unquote healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
I can't cuss. I can't fart because I'm spiritual. I can't talk about this. I like people create this idea of what they consider the journey you're on. And what I hear what she's saying, and when we say the universe is only the universe knows the path I'm on. I don't know the path I'm on.
Right.
I have faith. I'm what Big Mama was in the church. I'm devout. I believe so much. If the universe say go left, I'm going left. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to kick rocks up the road. I'm going to go left.
Right.
If it says, okay, you've been going left enough, go right. I'm going to go right. I'm not going to question. I'm going to push back. But left was so fun. I'm going to go right. If it says this person is no longer good for you, I got to let you go. And you could have done 9 things right. But that one voice, that universal voice saying, yo, they're no good for you. They talk about you behind your back. They've never really showed up for you. Damn, you going to give them money again? I have to step away. And I love them. This is not me saying I don't love you. I don't believe in you. It's saying I listen to a higher power and a higher voice. And you know what I mean? And that's even against our parents. And I still love you. But I answer to a different voice. I'm not a child anymore. And your voice did used to reign supreme in my life. But now
Right.
that I'm adult, I have to answer to a higher voice. And I think that's that disconnect our generation feels
Yeah.
sometimes.
I think
I,
I think I think
I
we're
that you were able to interpret, because I know for me personally, a lot of this is new. I know that I go a lot on what and it correct me if I'm wrong, but the gut feeling.
Yeah. Instinct.
I'm moved by that more because it's like the more it's got me here.
Yeah.
but sometimes that gut feeling for some people is they're only doing what makes them feel good, right?
True.
So
True.
so when that happens, okay, you're doing what you feel good. Heroin feels good, but at the end of the day, it only feels good in the moment. So at the end of the day, you have all these problems at the end of it.
Well,
So hold on, let me finish my thought. So
but that's like
when
running something, right?
I'm sorry.
The heroin, I was assume that they had a situation and they ran to the heroin to not face the situation.
No, basically they did the action because it felt good in the moment. In their mind, it solved, or basically they didn't want to feel the accountability of what needs to be done. So let's say, they needed to pay bills, they needed to do, and they said, okay, in this moment, I can't deal with this. So let me, escape for a second, and when I come back, I'll deal with this. But it never truly really happens, right? Because you're still only chasing what feels good in the moment. Or let me just go out real quick. Let me go out and party real quick, but those problems will still face you once you come back. So I wanted to give an example. And I always give my own personal examples, right? My mother, a great woman. She's known by authors all over this great nation of ours. Faye Childs is definitely my mom. And when she gave me up at 17, she did what she thought was best for her because her father and her had a talk and said, Faye, you got all these scholarships. You can't raise this child right now. You know what I'm saying? And I don't, I've forgiven my mother over and over again, for that particular decision, but she made that decision. Now, as Walisha said, if she had made a decision to raise Delane Whiteside, would she have been this great, publisher that brought you Terry McMillan, that brought you Ilyana Von Sant, that brought you Omar Tyree, that brought you Zane, that brought you all these authors? My mom did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the end of the day, she still abandoned not me, but also 4 other children that she had. Because when I talked to my sister, she said, "Hey, Layne, you really didn't miss nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really think that, you missed out on this great mom and this, that, and the other. But we had mom, and she was still gone, 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 doing service work and doing her purpose work. But do you think that her children wouldn't? I mean, because even when I talked to my mom, and she was like, I was doing this for my children. I'm like, do you think we wouldn't have given those years back just to have a mom? Do you think that, you know what I'm saying? I get it. You are a great person. Let me finish. You are this great person that everybody worships, loves, and adores in the literary world. But to me, I never had a mom. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But again, to Walisha's and Tim's point, sometimes 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You're damned if you do it, you're damned if you don't. Yep. You know,
right? And so in there, we gotta find like the child themselves. Like for me, I'm already speaking. I've already been speaking. It's already been spoken that what they need in life is gonna get on both sides. They're not gonna get less of anything, even if they don't see me every day of the year. They're not getting any less of me. And so this is a conversation. We've always had family meetings, even before the separation. But they're growing in age and counseling. We've sought counsel. They had a counseling session. Like we all had the same therapist. And so I only know what I know. And what I know is that once I started looking at my situation, I was like, well, shit, this has been happening. I'm over here beating myself up and being the worst person that I've ever been in my entire life because the narrative ain't been spoken. The narrative is shame. The narrative is you separate and the mom is not there. Oh, she's a bad mother. That was the first thing that people would literally go look up. They wanted to see if I had cases. They wanted to know why I, especially a birth worker that's out here teaching shit and unlearning shit that's killing the communities at large, how do I not have my children? Mm-hmm. And my mother can't understand how I'm okay with not having my girls. And it's not that I'm okay with anything. It's just that, like Tim said, I got a faith that, okay, shit is going to work the fuck out for everybody involved.
So how can you say they're not missing anything then? But and I'm being objective here, right? No. Because when you say that, right?
And I want to interject too.
And when you say that, my father was in prison, so I got to see him on a weekly basis. Oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? Because my grandmother, kept me in these penitentiaries damn near every weekend because she was the guilty parent who said, I'm responsible because of my neglect that my child is in prison, right? So therefore, before he went and got sentenced to his 47 years, she said, Norman, all is not lost. You're still going to have to raise your son. So she did the best she could, but there were still some disconnects because my father was not in the home. So when Tommy and them wanted to run down the street and steal a car, my father wasn't there with his paternal instincts to say, hey, where you going? You know what I'm saying? There was nobody there. So I was missed, even though I saw my father on a weekly basis, I knew he couldn't come out that cage and whoop my ass. You know what I'm saying? So there were some things because he was not in proximity that, yes, I missed. And I'm a product of missing that element. So there are that a child does miss when you're not in the proximity of your paternal guidance. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that and I can speak to my own instead of my children now, because now technology plays a part in how frequently and how much I'm able to connect with my children. And who else I'm able to send, like Tyreek, this is not his first time that he's gone to see them in my stead. So their elder brother that's seen all of them be birthed, who's been a part of their life until the separation, like this is a staple in their life, consistent in their life. Everybody play a part, my mom included. So I think that for my own journey, and my father, when I can look back and say, oh, how he wasn't there because he was married and he had his own family as I was conceived and being raised. I was back and forth between two households, not feeling like I belonged anywhere. So I lived my life like needing not to be seen because, again, my storyline was, and I said this to people and jokingly, even growing up, like it was a staple that I said I wasn't supposed to be born. I was born out of wedlock. My father was married when I was conceived, and nobody wanted a girl. Nobody wanted this baby. And the fact that I had a twin that died at birth, you know what I'm saying? It would have been two. It would have been really double trouble. So I took a lot of things of my father balancing, having to be a father to me as he was to these other two children that was from his wife, because we did not get the same treatment. You know what I'm saying? They shot at the mall, Dillard's and Kaufman's and shit. I was Big Lots, and he was buying me men clothes and shit. Like, it was crazy. That attention, lack of attention, him being there, somewhat being there, but he was, living his life. So what I say is this: I cannot speak negative on my situation. I know, nor will I speak negative on my situation. I am not going to be like, oh, well, they're not going to get everything they need, because this is the situation for real at large. Like, it is what it is. And I could try to.
This is what we're talking. This is what we're talking about, Walisha. And I had to come to that same conclusion, because I stood on, until I met Tim, I stood on the fact that I was in my daughter's life for 15 years before I divorced their mother. And I stood on it like I was this great parent, because I gave my children something that my father nor my mother gave me, right? But until I met Tim and I brought my family in, Tim showed me, even during that time, there were decisions that I made that still caused the breakdown in the relationship that I had with my children. Now, could I have helped that I chose a woman after I got divorced, and that basically caused a breakdown in communication with my children? No, because I made that decision, right, Walisha? I made that decision for myself, but it still caused a break in my children's relationship. That, hey, because for 15 years, all they see me was with their mother. So they don't know what this new world looks like. You know what I'm saying? But right. I'm holding and hanging my hat on, well, you had me for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? The other part of accountability is I chased my dreams after I felt like, okay, they didn't want to live with me anymore at 15 years old. Okay, it's time for me now. Guess what? It wasn't time for me, because there was still an element of me that they needed. So even though we're in the same city, I'm going to all the assemblies, I'm going to all the recitals, I'm going to all the poetry slams, I'm going to all the dance and drill team. I'm thinking I'm still being an active father. But no, the proximity of me not being next to them is what causes them to sneak boys in the house, sneak out and go to, whatever. So we can say that we're doing the best that we can. This is what Tim is talking about. Like, yes, in your situation, I'm doing the best I can, but really your actions are really affecting other people. You know what I'm saying? Even though you're doing the best for yourself and you're trying not to think about the negative aspect of it, we still have to have that accountable. And listen, I get it, Walisha. For a minute, I was like, how dare them tell me I'm not a good parent? How dare, accountable. When I look back on it, I say, you know what? I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? That doesn't make me a bad person at all. I just made some decisions that did, you know what they say, cause and effect. I made a cause, and this is the effect, and I have to live with that. So that's what I'm.
So I see both sides. Again, like I even see what her mom's saying. I see what you're saying. I see what she's saying. I feel where we're taking the conversation is a little bit further. I feel like we all start off in the beginning at the same point, and then we branch off. So for us, for my generation, and this is me speaking for myself, she can say if it applies to her, but this isn't about what they're going to miss. We don't focus on that. And not focusing on it is not saying it doesn't exist. This is not priority, because it's a hypothetical conversation. Just like you pointed out, just like I grew up with both parents in the home, but it was separated. We didn't really talk to each other much. We didn't interact with each other's lives. So I would always sit in class and hear a kid saying, I've never met my dad. I wish I had that. Things would be so different. But you're speaking of it like it would be better. And you're not qualified to say that, because you have no idea what it would be like. You could have had your dad there every day and felt more lonely and felt less seen and less talked to. So when it comes to parenting, this is the disconnect. Sometimes I feel like older generations has a societal way of seeing parenting. And we all in my generation look at parenting differently in each household. We don't have a curriculum or a foundation for parenting because a lot of us weren't taught how to be parents. So we are accepting and acknowledging that by trying to do it a different way. Sometimes, the understanding or the apology is just changed behavior. So we're not saying it's not important on what they can miss out, but I'm not in control of that. Again, this is why now we see the double standards in society. And this is something she's going through that helps my perspective. This is why me and her are so close, because you can't have two things and just choose one side. You're going to get both, right? You know what I mean? So now we live in a world, and this was my experience with being a father. We live in a world that my kids can be kept away from me for a year, and that could make me a bad father. While I'm watching people go off and enlist in the military for 8 years. I'm watching people go be preachers. I'm watching people go to college and miss their kids for 4 years. And that's okay. That's a good thing. That kid is going to benefit from that. Well, at least their parents doing something. We live in that double standard. We have our kids now. I feel like than people had their kids in a long time. And we still go to work. And we still have careers. And we still have friendships. We get little sleep. So yeah, this is what I meant about earlier. We can complain about that less. Yeah, we chose that path. All right, fair enough. But what I'm saying here now is we have a whole different idea of how we're parenting. I'm not trying to be considered a good parent today. If I go the path the universe has set out for me and I'm a great parent while my kids is 20, I'll take that. I'll be rough right now. I might not be around every day right now. I might not call every day right now because that I trust that path that much that at the end of the day, we're going to be good. But we might not be good today. I can't be good with my kid every day. I can't call every day. That's not realistic. That's what my generation is saying. Sometimes the expectations set on us to be parents are unrealistic because we never said we wanted to do those kind of things, but we get guilted into it. Well, a good parent will have their kids living with them. A good parent will call their kid every day if they don't live with them. No, that's unrealistic expectations. Does my kid love me? Why is that not the measurement? Why is that not the standard? Why do we never talk about if they love me or not? But we always talk about how I show up or don't show up. If I talk to them, if I don't, if I pay, if I don't. That's not fair.
Perfect example, though. Perfect example is you're right. A father could be in the home. I've said this time and time again. A father could be in the home and the kid grew up and hate that person's gut. The same way a deadbeat dad can come around. That kid is
loves them to death.
Hey,
yeah.
So like you said, it goes back to a false sense of security and a false sense of peace that says 1 + 1 = 2, and it does not. You know what I'm saying? As we stay back on topic. We feel like, oh, if I steal away and go on this sabbatical, once I come back, everything will be all right. No, don't kid yourself. It might not. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you can follow the path. And I'm not here, or anybody on this broadcast or any on this live, I'm not here to condemn any of your choices. You live with your choices. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you continue to walk down a road that you see as destructive, then as Tim said, you might want to do the work to reverse some of those things. Can we go back in time and reverse what we've done? No, we cannot.
Right.
But if you see the path that you're on is destructive, if you see that your child is, emotionally depleted. Now, my kids are grown. So now it's only time that I'm at the mercy of. Is like when they feel like speaking to me again, or when they feel like, reconnecting that thing. But for now, I have to give them that space. You know what I'm saying? But as a child, as they're developing, I pursued this radio career, and I'm just now hitting the stride, right?
Yeah.
It took those 12 years. And like you said, me going to school, me, not having money because basically I'm not working at the bank. I'm working on my craft.
You trusted the vision.
I trusted the vision. So I agree with what you're saying, but a lot. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now.
Can you guys hear me? Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of times, when we say that we're in trouble, sometimes the cop out is saying, well, Allah will provide, God will provide.
Right.
No,
right.
and do the work.
Right. But I think the point that you just made, I'm gonna show you how it connects. This is the point me and Walisha are making. Because I don't disagree with anything that you just said. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's on point. But just how you brought up, sometimes kids are getting away from accountability. Sometimes parents are trying to right wrongs and overcompensate with the advice they give us. Because you wasn't there to teach me to ride a bike at 10. Now you're trying to tell me how to get a job at 20. And that don't translate. That don't track. Like this is also something. This is why spirituality is so powerful, but it's so painful because you got to accept everything that comes with that path you choose. You can't negate or ignore any of it. You have to accept it. So if you've been gone for all that time and this person treats you away because of it, you got to accept. You got to stand in that. That's you. You asked for this through everything else you got through it. You dig what I'm saying? So when it comes to us with parents, we are trying new things because we had a whole world set out for us that we were told to live this one way. It didn't work. So we said, fair enough. We're going to try something new. And in my experience, every parent-child relationship is hard. Just because that parent is a good parent doesn't mean there's not a strain on them and their child's relationship. Relationships are difficult just in essence. And we were bought this dream that, okay, well, if you're a good parent, y'all gonna have a good relationship. That's not always the case. That's not always, well, if you show up to everything, they're gonna appreciate you. That's not always the case. You know what I mean? So what we're saying is we got to get out of this outdated fantasy that being a good parent equals good results. Sometimes you can do everything you felt right, and that kid still feels like you didn't do enough.
But let's get, I want to, because there's so many points we got to hit, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I always tend to circle around parenting. Let's take this for a spin. Let's spin this conversation. Sexy Red is in the news, right? We're talking about delusional, right? And Sexy Red is in the news about a sex tape that has been released. Now, of course, I don't think nothing about it. I'm reading the headlines like, so what? This chick is half naked on stages anyway. So I don't care nothing about this sex tape, right? The headline that grabbed me was the Breakfast Club that said Sexy Red is upset that her sex tape is leaked. And I'm like, why? Isn't this the content of your music? Ain't this what you talk about? Isn't this the energy that you bring on about yourself? How in the world can you be upset that somebody leaked a sex tape about you? And you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, now you can pick and choose? No, this is as Nipsey Hussle said, this is the energy that you put out. So we are walking around here delusional when you know what I'm saying, you win, as you poke the bear, you win prizes to the bear clawing your ass. You know what I'm saying? But now you victim and saying, "Oh my God, why did the bear attack you? Poke that motherfucker."
But this proves my point, and in that aspect of the accountability, I'm not disagreeing. Yes, hold that person accountable, but you cannot hold me accountable for the words that I am saying because you don't know what they mean. That's what I'm saying. I could go around and saying I'm the best chef, and in your head, you thinking I'm saying I'm better than every chef in the neighborhood, but I'm just talking about myself. I'm talking about in this parameter, in my proximity. That's what I mean. So yeah, you hear, but you're not listening because you don't understand what I'm trying to say. And that's not good or bad. That's just the fact of the matter. Layne could be walking around saying, I'm hungry. I hand you a sandwich. You're like, nah, for my career, to get back on pat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need that. That's what my generation is saying. You're hearing I'm saying this and you're trying to help in this way, and that's fair, but I'm not saying it that way. I'm saying this in a whole different way. So when I speak on how hard my situation is, I'm not crying and complaining about it. I'm speaking myself. I'm speaking life into me. I'm speaking courage. Because what you don't get is this is still hard. That's where we want to be seen more. I'm not just going to go be away from my kids to go kick it in the club. Like we out hustling. We out doing different delivery services. We out doing events. I'm not just out. I'm not playing the game as much as I want to. Like, so yeah, I understand it's hard that I have to be away from my kids, but I'm grinding. Like, and what we're saying is yes, there is a negative side, but there's also a positive side. So it also says a lot about you if you only lead with the negative. Why don't you address something that I'm doing positive? Nobody told me I'm a good dad in a while. Why don't you do that? Nobody's told me how hard this is and that I'm coming through. And you didn't have a dad that did it. You didn't have a husband to do it, and you're watching your son do it. Let's talk about that. But if everything we talk about is if I do something negative, how do you think my mind's not going to conform you a op? Like you a op. It's not going to think, oh, they're trying to help you. They just tough loving you. No, it's going to say this is a op. They always got something negative to say about everything you do. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying communication is a two-way street. So before you address how someone communicates, think about how you're communicating with them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think with her being upset that the tape was leaked, I think that that's natural. Like at the end of the day, just because she is, and I'm not you know what I mean? I think, first of all, I don't agree with her. Not saying that I don't agree
You're
with
not
it.
an advocate of her. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's
That's
what.
the word, man. That's the word of the day, advocate.
Right. And so at the end of the day, though, I think that there's still a natural side to like what she's feeling, and she's just expressing what she's feeling, regardless of what she's rapping. Yeah, now she's seeing that her words got power, obviously, and she manifested shit that she ain't really ready for. But I think it's natural for her to, be upset that somebody took it a step further and exposed her like that.
Yeah,
Right.
and you put that perfectly. And this is what I mean by say give grace. This is why I always remind Christians that Jesus hung with the strippers and the prostitutes and the gangsters. He hung with the worst people in society, the outcasts. This is why we have to give grace. Because I love what she said. I'm not saying with Sexy Red, anything that she's doing is right. You dig what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is let's be honest about her situation. And my homie said on Facebook so brilliantly the other day, why you got something to say about them? If they doing bad, go help them. You feel me? Like, so she's in a position right now, let's be honest, of the most irresponsible person on the planet. And that's a young person with a bunch of money. Nobody is more irresponsible than a younger person with a whole bunch of money. Because they don't have to live by, how we live, the morals we live by. They can buy a lot of their problems. They can pay people off. They get the benefit of the doubt in certain situations because they're a celebrity. So, like, I'm not expecting her. I'm not saying I'm expecting her to be a toxic or ratchet. But with how her life is going, what age she is, the type of money, the fame, exposure, I mean, there's a high probability she's gonna do some ghetto shit. There's a high probability she's gonna do some ratchet shit. So if we care so much, what I'm saying is let's help her. You know what I mean?
But it goes back to what you said. Let's go to the comments. Adrian, thank you so much for being a part of this show. She controls what she puts out in her music. I understand she's upset something was released without her consent, but that all boils down to she's upset because she's upset because she never gave consent for it to be released. It's just unfortunate that she dealt with people who wanted to take advantage of her fame.
And listen, I gotta hop off for like 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
And I gotta send a text message. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to join back in before y'all end.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Yep.
Yeah. So the thing is that I totally get that. It's like the people that you hang with, the content that you put out. Do you get to now be the victim? I mean, because like you said, when you got a pocket full of money and you're being flown everywhere and you're getting all this royal treatment, but the content that you're putting out is savagery content.
Yeah.
Savage behavior that comes with this. So this is the problem that I have with not just, we're talking about the world in general. I'm not even breaking this shit down when it generations. The world in general mentality right now is like, as long as it makes money, as long as it feels good, then okay, you know what I'm saying? But then when somebody says something, you can't say anything to me. Hell yeah, I can say something about Usher wearing a damn dress. Yeah,
I said something immediately when I seen it. And this has no connotations to sexuality. I'm not wearing no dress. I'm cool.
Yes. I could say something about Usher wearing a dress because I don't give a damn if he did make $20 million for that, man.
And their only justification was the money. That's it. There was no other justification but the money.
Man. And so I'm saying it's like
y'all would do anything for this money, man.
Listen, I'm saying if basically Kentucky Fried Chicken and Coke 45 came to you with $1 million contract and said, would you get on a TV and say, whoa, this show is good? Would you do it? A lot of us would. And that's sad. That's
And it
sad.
hurts my heart when they do it. When Jerry Rice did that Popeyes commercial
With
with
Mary J.
that helmet with the chicken wings on, that hurt. I love Jerry Rice. I grew up watching Jerry Rice. That
When,
hurt my heart, man. That hurt.
like, we will do anything. But the delusion of it is, man, listen, I got the money. Where are you at? And yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is that Sexy Red, this is the universe telling you that you are an influence. But this is a mirror that the universe, we don't like that mirror when the universe holds that mirror to. Shame on the person who released that tape. We're gonna say that, right? But if we
Right.
talk walking down a path, okay, we want to be mad when the universe says, okay, this is enough. We want to get mad when Lil Ray Ray gets shot by the police or another gang member, but nobody said, oh, they want to think Ray Ray's cute when he's flying his colors and he's throwing up
Exactly.
gang signs and stuff like that. This is the delusion that we are talking about. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And that's why I said it's on both sides, because absolutely not. She's not justified. She gonna get everything she got coming. You know what I mean? But even at the end of that, she's still gonna have people that love her. Like, to me, that's what's important. You look at people like, you look at the Trinas, you look at the Foxy Browns, the Lil Kims. You know what I mean? One would argue they had a lot more followers back in the day than they
Yeah.
do now, and people still love them.
Yeah.
But people got opinions about them now. People feel a little differently about them now for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So to me, no, what she's doing is not justified. She's gonna go down that same path, and I don't want to hear her crying about it in 20 years, because this is what you chose. See, that's the overall accountability of it all. But that doesn't elude the audience from their delusion. You dig what I'm saying? And this is why I'll give an example of a person we're seeing with it right now. And this is why you have that situation that you do with Black China. You know
Right.
what I mean? And this is why I say this is how a lot of people use Christianity. Like, you want to mess around and do your dirt, and then when it's time to change your life, you done got saved and went to the church. But whole time she was just doing that to get her kids back, because Rob and Wiz had them the whole time and nobody knew. And they was like, yeah, she be only seeing them like an hour a week, a couple weeks in here. So now you saved, you a Christian, to get your kids back. So as soon as that didn't work in court, her ass ain't been in church since. Like, this is what I mean by we can't gauge someone's journey, or we can't say, well, you should be here, or you said you're a Christian now, you need to go back in there on Sunday. Like, because people are finicky, and a lot of times they're doing something for monetary gain. They're doing something to right or wrong. They're doing something because they feel that guilt of what they've done in the past. And this is why everyone is acting on this delusion. It's survival. It's the fear that they're going to break my trust. It's the fear that they're lying. It's the fear that they didn't really need my help. They just wanted some company. And
And
that's
that's
what's fucking stuff up.
I want to talk to anybody who feels that they are being lied to or feels that they are being done wrongly behind. Release it, and ask for revelation. Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't become an FBI agent. Don't don't become a person. Release it, because that energy on you is tearing you down. So
Yeah.
if you are listening to the sound of my voice right now and you feel like somebody is getting over on you, please just release it and let that energy come back on them. I'm about to tell y'all something that you may not like, and I've never said this on live TV before or anything. I love Nip. I love Nipsey Hussle. I love the things that man did closer to the end of his life. But people basically made him the Messiah, and rightfully so, for all the good that he did. But as am a well-read person of the Bible, be not fooled. God is not mocked. Whatever ye sow, that shall ye so reap. It may not be today. It may not be.
Mm-hmm.
I got an ass whooping coming from somewhere because I put my somebody that I shouldn't. So when that time comes and I got to pay that piper, I can't complain that, oh, Layne did all this good stuff. You know what I'm saying? When that time comes and when that time comes, or if that time comes and somebody put their hands on me, then I got that coming. Make no mistake about it. Nipsey Hussle was a rolling 60s Crip.
Yeah.
And times in interviews where he can't even speak on certain things. So you know how deep there are really murderous people in that rolling 60s clique. And they said Nipsey was worth every bit of the merit that they gave him. So you know good and well, if he was worth every bit of the merit that they gave him, you know Nip did some work and put some work in. Nipsey was a rolling 60s Crip. So when it came time for that price to be paid, he had to pay it. So this is the delusion that says, oh, I'm a changed person, so no bad should be. No, be not fooled. God is not mocked.
But I don't think it, and I love that analogy, and I'll speak from my perspective. I don't think there was delusion in that situation. I think that act and how he got killed is what made him the Messiah. That's how my generation is because all of us, most of us in that situation, soon as we would have got out of that life, our parent or whoever, the elder, would have said, don't go back to that store. But if Nipsey feels this is his purpose and the universe is saying, yo, you need to clean up this area that you poisoned at one point in time, you have to be here in the trenches. You don't get to go do that from the suburbs. You don't get safety. You need to be in that same streets that you was putting them into. You need to be in the same streets that one time you told a kid, yeah, here, go take this gun, go run. You know what I mean? So that's why he was so powerful, because he didn't shy away from that. Even us sometimes as fans is like, yo, he was dumb. Like, why are you out in the pub? You're Nipsey Hussle now, bro. Like, you can't. But he overstood, like, you got to get it how you live. So if this is going to be my demise, it's going to be in the same neighborhood that I started this in. And it was. It was in front of his shop by himself, standing strong, and he ain't even cry at the end. He's just like, damn, you got me. Like, this is it. He already knew what it was coming. See, that's spirituality, and you're not afraid of that. You still walk your path, even though you know death might be on this path sooner than if you go this path. But this is my path. I'm not afraid of that.
No different than, like, I love what you just said, my brother, because it was no different than Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King said, I'm not afraid. Like, I know it's getting ready to happen. So
get me.
That last speech that he made at that church, he said, I'm not, hey, listen, my eyes had already seen death. Hey, I'm ready. Let's go. And the very next day he was out of here. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, when you're walking in purpose, that's the fearlessness that comes with that. Like you said, but you know, people sometimes get delusional. Like, why did this happen? It happened.
Yeah.
He's got kids and he's got his Nep was a rolling 60s Crip.
Yeah. But we see that every day, even with, you know, our peers, people that we know, people in Columbus, Ohio. You know, again, we'll bring up Ray Ray. They'll see Ray Ray on the news, like, but he graduated high school. Why did he? And Ray Ray don't have no regrets about his life. Ray Ray cool with being a hood nigga. Like, he don't care. But everybody in his family, like, oh, he could have went to college. And asked Ray Ray what he wanted to do. He wanted to gangbang. He wanted to be with the homies. He wanted to be on the corner. Like, you can't feel sorry for somebody who chose their path. They chose that. And I understand, to you, it may seem like they left early. They didn't make as much money as they could. They don't care about that. They really feel like they live life to the fullest at 30. And that's something where, again, that brittle word, I can understand how that can get put on our generation. We're removed from those things. And we have my people that are coming up now and they're stepping into their own. You know what I mean? But we don't have those Fred Hamptons. He was 27 doing that. You know what I mean? We don't have the Malcolm X DeMars. They were 30 doing that. They were 30 already committed to, I got to die on this sword, because that's the equation.
Right.
Once you're small, they can throw all these little things to trip you up. Once you get big enough, the only way they can stop you is kill you. That they're already at that point. They're already having those meetings. They're already figuring out who's going to do it and how we're going to cover it up. Because that's the only way they can shut you up at this point. You've gotten too big. You've recruited too many people. Change is happening.
Right.
We got to silence you. So before you ever accept that role, you got to accept that's how it ends. That's why that's why I'm so tied to activists. That's why I love people who dedicate their life to that, because they're not afraid of what comes next. And this is now why that communication is so disconnected, because they're talking to a person and saying, yo, what's next? What's going to happen if that kills you? Like, they're not worried about that. You got to have a different rhetoric with them. This is a different type of person.
So let me ask you something, and this is we're about to really go into this conversation. So the smart guy, I don't know if you've seen him on YouTube or whatever. This is a guy that did time in Rikers Island, and he had one of the worst experiences, but he came out of it. He saw the light when he was in solitary confinement, and one of the worst solitary confinements you could possibly imagine: pissy mattresses, vomit, all the stuff that you can go through in solitary confinement. So he was basically saying, and he was really arguing with his interviewer, because the interviewer kept saying that Black people really need to be accountable and they need to stop being delusional that the world owes them something. And so the smart guy was saying that, how is it that we can hold any Black woman or man accountable when basically our colonizers came in? He said, now imagine colonizers come in, rape your woman, rape you, and then smack your kid upside the head or kill your kid in front of you, and you can't do anything. He said, are you a victim at that point? Aren't you a victim? You are a victim. So basically, the terrorism didn't go away. The terrorism evolved, right?
Right.
So
Right.
therefore, he said, from Willie Lynch, the terrorism evolved. So how can you call a Black man lazy? How can you call a sister confrontational when we're still the product of this same terrorism, but it's systematic terrorism that causes stress each and every single day? So he said, every time you say Black people need to get by their bootstraps and this, that, and the other, he said, man, you're really delusional about what's really happening. You know what I'm saying? And it goes back to what you're saying about grace. And even me, a lot of times I was, really in that war of the niggas versus Black people. But you know what I'm saying? We really are one. And once we really understand that we are one, we are part of the same struggle, no matter if you made it on the other side of that wall or you're still trying to climb over, we really need to understand and provide grace, because I think that's one of the problems. And the delusion of the problem is, once we, as that person that made it over the wall, now we want to look at everybody on the other side of the wall like, you ain't doing shit. You know, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what
And things, like you said, things evolve. This is why I say, like, if the tree has a problem, you can't pick the leaves to fix it. Like, you have to pull up the root. You know what I mean? Because those leaves are changing colors throughout the season. So you really think you're solving something or changing something, but you're not. Those leaves was going to fall off anyways. Like, you have to go after the root. And the root of all of this is they've been evolving everything, even the words. Like, and this is where we can now conversate with white people. This is why there's a lot less tension between white people, because now we can articulate, like, why things are still fucked up, because they think things should just be better now, but no, things are still very fucked up. You know what I mean? And it's because they evolved the word racism, and now it's audacity. And this is why white people can't speak on Black things. You may be right, you may be wrong, but it's just you had the audacity to speak on some shit that I know you've never experienced. I don't care if you grew up around Black people. They look at you like you're white. We can go into the bank and have a very different experience. We can go get a job and have a very different experience. We can go order food and have a very different experience. We not the same. I cannot take care of my kids. You cannot take care of your kids. People gonna look at it very differently. We are not the same. You
man,
dig what I'm saying? So now what's been trickling, because there's so many Black people, like I be saying, that think they white and playing white. Now Black people are getting that audacity. Now they're building this cushy, comfortable life around themselves, but they want to be, critics. They want to be online reviewing everybody's life, and you ain't even living a life to have an opinion about what somebody else is doing. You dig what I'm saying? Because if you was living, you wouldn't have the energy to talk. You would be shutting up. So
yeah.
I don't want to hear from somebody who just reads a bunch of books either. It's where people get comfortable with it. They're like, oh, you read? I'm like, yeah, I read, but I live life too. I
I,
don't just
I,
read. I live too. I don't just read. You got
damn.
to get the full experience out here. You know what I mean? So now we can relate because we can
We did.
communicate. But now
I
through
hit.
that communication, there's a lot of people who have this backhanded communication. Like I said, they're being racist in the tone of what they're saying, but they done altered the tone. This is why I don't pay attention to tone. I listen to context. I listen to the substance of what you're actually saying at the timing that you're presenting it. So now what we're presenting to Black people, the same thing I said is on the way, is what you just said. We're getting to the Black people versus niggas. We're getting to now where there's no racism. It's going to be colorism. This is how people are going to be separated. And it's through this audacity. It's through thinking you really have the answers to help somebody out, but you don't have them to help yourself. That's not realistic. That's the thing that I challenge in people. Like, yeah, you can help me, cool, but yo, what you doing to help you? I remember the other day you said you want your grass to be cut. You know what I mean? Don't look like your grass is cut. And then that is going to show me if we can have a relationship if I can challenge you in that way. Because I'm open to challenge. I don't mind being challenged. I don't mind when somebody comes and says, yo, when you gonna get your hair retwisted? But again, you don't know what journey I'm on. You don't know if I'm on a fast from getting my hair done or not. And that's what shows me if a person has a good heart, because you would have took the time to assume something like that. You
But
wouldn't have just came at me like, yo, this person ain't keeping up with their maintenance. This person ain't taking care of themselves. And that's
but
that delusion showing. It's manifesting.
we also have to get rid of the hating when people do make the right decisions. If a person
Yes.
took his time to vet his wife, if a woman took her time and really planned her life out the way she wanted to, the man she wanted, the kids, the amount of kids she wanted to have, and things of that nature, when she or he basically says, hey, you are responsible for the choices that you make, we shouldn't tighten up, because basically they did that actual work to take their time. So when we say, you know what I'm saying, nobody's helping me raise these kids, or nobody's helping me get the job that I want, or something like, there are people who actually did have a formula and a plan in life. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of the systematic oppression that we have has caused us to be reactionary people and not so much proactive people. So again, going back to what you said last hour, let's give grace to those people, but then let's also listen to those people that
Yes.
did take the time to choose the right spouse, that did, or they didn't choose the right spouse, and had a conversation with that person that says, hey, you know, you're here, I'm trying to get here, and I don't think that we can get there together, and have an honest conversation and move on. And neither person is right or wrong. It's just basically saying, you know what? I think I need to turn left and you need to turn right. Or, you know what? Maybe I am sitting on the couch just a little too much. Maybe I'm smoking a
Yeah.
little bit too much. Maybe,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And really have that conversation with yourself and say, you know what? Maybe my feet are moving around, but they're not moving in a direction. You know what I'm saying? A lot of
Yeah.
people are busy doing nothing. I was one of those people. And sometimes I still have to correct myself to say, Layne, is this thing that you're doing right now in this moment going to be the thing that propels you forward, the thing that, you know what I'm saying, sustains your life and the people that you're trying to provide for? Or are you just, you know, passing the time, or you just basically sometimes we're so afraid of success, we get busy on the unimportant stuff so that we don't have to deal with the important things, that are the things that are really going to propel us. And I am one of these people. I don't get on in front of this camera fronting for y'all. I'm not talking to Tim right now. I'm talking to y'all. I don't get on this camera fronting for y'all. I know I got flaws. You know what I'm saying? But what I ain't gonna let nobody do is get in front of my face and front, like, you know what I'm saying, everything is just falls on them, and you know what I'm saying, they're the ones to get all the bad luck, and you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I mean, you're not gonna get in front of my face on some woe is me type shit. Like you
Don't
make,
want to hear it.
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear none of that shit. You know what I'm
And I
saying?
think you literally summed up of how the sexy red is not a right or wrong situation. It's a other people cannot make you hold yourself accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable. You know what I mean? And that's going to play out in her life when, now again, this is why I never say what you're doing is right or wrong. But what you're doing is going to cause an effect. You dig
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And like we've said on this show multiple times, this is what I say to the younger people. They need to really understand, especially the high schoolers. Reputation is important. Reputation can make or break what you're trying to do.
They don't
Like,
want to hear.
reputation is very important.
They don't want to hear that. Nuh-uh.
You know what I mean? Like, how you carry yourself is very important if you're trying to do things with other people. If you're gonna live your life just by yourself, go crazy. But if you want to be integrated in other people's lives, that's important.
They don't want to hear that.
You feel me? So the sexy red is no more than, sexy red's a variable. She ain't the first sexy red. She won't be the last. She's a variable. She's someone who's going to build up that reputation. And then when you want to be quote unquote healed or saved, you want to go get a man, you want to discount or you want to negate your reputation and your past. And it's on the internet, yours. He can't get away from it. He'd have to not be able to have social media to not see your name somewhere or see a story about you. Even if someone's telling a lie, it doesn't matter. You've built that reputation. They're going to assume that it's true. So what she's doing is not right or wrong, but she better not try to get married or in 10 years too. But this is why my generation say the world's changing. She might meet a man in 10 years who loves that. He loves a nasty one. So who knows? I don't know where the world is headed.
Well,
I don't know.
Hold on, Tim. We gotta balance it out. We got to balance it out. We got to balance it out because we're gonna seem like woman bashers. So we don't want to do that.
That's what I'm saying. She might have a man that's for her out here. I won't say a man for her doesn't exist. I'm gonna say it's hard for a man to love a woman like that. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna be hard.
We got to balance this thing out. So again, let's go to the men. You can sell drugs and want to be a rapper all your life, but 40 is going to approach you and hit you in your ass. 50 is going to approach you and hit you in your ass. So you got to work at that factory, or when you got to work where, you know what I'm saying, at these non-jobs, just know that age is coming to where that shit ain't going to look good so much. You know what I'm saying? It's like them saggy pants and that Gucci belt ain't gonna get you over at 45 years old, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got to start making responsible choices right now. So like you said, the reputation, and you wonder why folks is laughing at dudes at 40 still in the booth talking about, wait till my album come out. What the fuck you still doing?
I'm gonna be better than Jay-Z. Like, sit down, brother. Sit down. We need more barbers, sir. Sit down.
Let's go back to the delusion. Let's start with the delusion. So we gonna stay on topic with delusion, right? Well, Snoop is 40. Well, Jay-Z's about over 40. Well, such and such. Who else? Rick Ross is over 40. They was rapping and they already made it in their 20s.
In their 20s.
So their fanship, their fanship is still there. Y'all stop hating on these dudes going on tour and getting this bag. I'm a
that
go off.
Nas show was fired. I heard that show was crazy from everybody that went.
Stop hating on our generation that's going and selling out these arenas and getting this bag, bro. Y'all mad because y'all can't do it consecutively, or y'all don't have the fan base that will stay with y'all for 30 damn years and still come out in droves. You might learn something from us. You might want to learn.
But this is the cause. This is the cause and effect. This is the same thing, and we're gonna stick to the men. This is the cause and effect. This is the same thing we see in the NBA. This is the same thing people were warning against. Y'all are going away from substance and chasing the bag. So now this younger generation can argue our art is getting paid, but nobody want to see you on tour. You ain't got no fan base. You ain't got no accolades. You got a bunch of TikTok followers. Nas cannot have social media and people gonna come out and see Nas. They gonna find Nas. And that's what they wish they had, but you didn't go that path. You chose the path of comfort. You chose the path of taking the bag up front and selling your soul. So your reputation is you a sellout now. So now when it's time to do real shit, they don't think to invite you no more. Like, you're not a part of it.
Let me tell you something. We're not painting a picture that you got to be straightforward, straight-laced. Own your shit, because Vanessa Del Rio don't give a damn what you think about her. Natalie, what is her, Nina Hartley, and all these porn stars, they don't give a damn what you think about them. And they have owned the fact that for the rest of their life, you're going to look at them as hoes. You know,
Pamela Anderson, they don't care.
where it goes off into the tangent, when Tim said, when you try to be this, oh, let me tell, now they're going to pull up all of Vanessa. If Vanessa Del Rio tried to be a preacher today.
Yeah, cut it out. Cut it out. Just be in the crowd. And that's why I can tell a lot of kids didn't get to go to that talent show. It's okay to be in the crowd. You ain't got to be on stage. You ain't got to be the star. We get it. You're talented. Great. Just go sit in the crowd. Go have a seat.
Yeah. But to get on a platform to say, oh, well, you know what I'm saying, you should be doing this, I'm going to straight pull up a Vanessa Del Rio tape like, no.
And this is why I tell people, y'all got to stop asking for a world without petty people. This is why we need the Cat Williams. This is why we need these people, because they going to call you out. They don't care who you are, what day it is, if it's your birthday, they going to call you out. And I love those people the most in this world, because we need more of that. We got to challenge each other. We've even gotten comfortable with how we deal with each other, because now we're worried about hurting each other's feelings. I tell my kids all the time, I'm going to hurt your feelings, bro.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying not to hurt your feelings, but something I'm going to say is going to trigger you.
So
Sometimes I might open the door and you get hit in the head. I'm not saying it was on purpose,
right.
but what I'm what I'm saying is, do you still love me after that? Am I a different person to you?
So
And if I'm not, you can't take that as you got to take it with a grain of salt.
I'm gonna bring up three people. I'm gonna bring up Chris Brown because I don't want this to be a woman bashing type of situation. I'm gonna bring up Chris Brown, Kobe Bryant, and Robert Kelly. Okay. The first two, we understood that whether we know the truth or not, the narrative was created that Kobe was our person. Chris Brown was a woman beater, and we know the story of R. Kelly, right? Chris Brown chose to work hard and just say, okay, let me see how far the end is going to be. Now, do you think up until the day that this man dies, somebody's going to show that Rihanna tape? Somebody's going to push that narrative in that man's face. Like, I will never buy a ticket from you. I will never buy any of your music. How could you do this to this woman? And this has happened years ago. So Chris has learned to live with that, but he did not repeat itself. He healed.
Right.
Kobe Bryant, whether the narrative was true or not, we don't know what happened in that hotel, right? But Kobe Bryant just said, I'm going to focus on my family, and whoever rocks with me, rocks with me. Whoever does not, does not. Now, the two people that we're going to talk about who failed at their mission was Orenthal the Juice Simpson and Robert Kelly. Who basically could have changed their life around, was given chance upon chance. I don't know how many chances we gave OJ. We told OJ, shut the fuck up. Okay? We told R. Kelly, stop this. We forgave them. We bought albums after the tape was released in 2002. That is his name, Adrian. Orenthal the Juice Simpson.
But that's what society asks for. This is why I implore people to be spiritual. It's not always a healing aspect. Sometimes it's just an understanding aspect. That's duality. That's what you ask for. If you're trying to raise a saint, you're going to raise a sinner as well. You can't have one without the other. These things have to balance themselves out. But what all of those artists realize is you're not the first to deal with this ridicule. They still talk shit about Michael Jackson online. And not even just that, they talk shit about Prince. What bad can you say about Prince? When I see motherfuckers write whole 3 paragraphs, I'm like, I wanna report this so bad. Like, who hurt you? Like, you got hate in your heart. There's some people like, yeah, they did bad, but we don't want to hear about it. Because of the good that they did eclipsed everything bad. This is why the choices you make every day are so important. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we could just focus on the Browns. You know what I mean? Chris Brown, Bobby, and James. Like, we could just look at the Browns, and they each had a different career, but similar circumstances. They had more power than the average person will ever experience in their lifetime, and people expected them to be perfect with that power. That's an impossible situation.
There is no way there, and I want Alicia to jump in here, but there is no way. We're talking about looking at things in a realistic form. That Robert Greene went on in the seminar and he was talking about Barack, Jay-Z, and Beyonce. People forget that Beyonce cut her day ones. She didn't give a damn about her day ones. Once it was time for her to emerge, she said, deuce, I'm only looking out for my sister Kelly. I don't know what y'all about to do. I get it. We've been down slanging and banging for years, but I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Now, she was scrutinized so bad for doing that, but look at who she is today.
Right.
Jay let go of his day one. Jazzo, shout out to Jazzo. I had the privilege of speaking to Jazzo for about an hour, man, and he is a real good brother. But that man is still hurt that Jay-Z was like, listen, I'm out. And
I'm
you
headed this way.
I appreciate you bringing me into the game, but I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And Barack, if you were to really dig deep enough, yeah, he was down with them Chicago boys, and he had African connections that he was able to do certain things to get him in a position of power. So going back to your point, nobody is all good and nobody is all bad. You know what I'm saying? Barack Obama, Hussein Obama, has a dark side to him.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which basically we love him for how he loves his family. We love him for the leader that he was and still continues to be, and the influence that he has on our culture. But at the same time, that man had to get some gangsters in his pocket to survive in the city of Chicago. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
so we want to look at somebody's achievements or their money and say, "Oh my God, they can do no wrong." That's bullshit. You know
But
what I mean?
that's why and this is why I like to look at things on this level, because it helps you get to the bottom of it. To me, that's why Tupac transcended what everybody else was doing. Because you had the people who thought he was a thug, and then the people who really knew who he was. And
Right.
those people can have two completely different opinions about him. But in Tupac's head, he was all of those things. And
Mhm.
that's what we should be striving to be. We should stop trying to pick the best parts of ourselves. Just accept all that comes with it. Because if you get some good with it, somebody gonna be talking shit. You feel me? Like, but you
Right.
can't worry about that. Let them have that, because that may be that's their path. You know what I mean? God wanted you to have critics. That's cool. Let them do that. And that's the journey now you gotta seek within yourself. We gotta stop trying to, when people are trying to adverse us or go against what we're saying. Just
Yeah,
allow them to have that. Because you know the real, you know the
yeah.
truth.
Go ahead, Walisha. I know we've been talking. Go ahead. What's your point of view?
Conversation with y'all stuff. I'm loving every bit of it, so I ain't tripping.
Okay.
Um, can y'all hear me good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, bet. So, no, I think that it's one of the things that I struggled with for a long time to understand, like how long it would take me in life to right my wrongs, so to speak.
Hmm.
And not only the wrongs that I've done to other people, to myself, but wrongs that people had done to me too. Like how long
Mhm.
was I going to have to suffer from things that people were feeling like they needed to do to me? Like, look, I never do y'all. I never do shit to
Right.
y'all. But
You
understanding that, oh shoot, am I
Yeah.
breaking up?
Yeah, a little bit.
just a little bit, and that's for the audience. We know we can bear with it, but we just make it palatable for the audience.
Yeah.
Over here and pull over because I'm underneath.
And I can hear what you're saying with that. And we all suffer from that. You know what I mean? Especially when we're younger. You think, you put one nickel in the sin cup, you put 10 cents in the good one, I'm good.
Yeah. I just, man, me personally, Tim, I just have no, and trust me, again, somebody watching this will be like, man, you used to be a habitual liar. But I think that's why I take the stance that I take now. Is like, man, I don't tolerate liars. You know,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all. I don't, that's the thing about people lie to themselves, and they lie to themselves so good that they actually start believing the lies. So when
Hmm.
you try to be like, nah, this is not the way it is, they done lied to themselves so much that they're gonna put up that wall, and you just be like, bro, you you really lying to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
the one thing that, and she I can say this because she came out with it during the program last Saturday. And I can say this. Shout out to Kim Chemistry, who did her poetry reading at the Streetlight Guild last Saturday. And man, it took every bit of me, Tim, to look away from the audience because I wanted to cry. That
Hmm.
this woman was 45 years old and just found out that the person she thought her biological father was not, and she thought she was biracial. So this woman has been on TED Talks talking about what it feels like to be biracial when her father and her mother was black. Okay,
Wow.
both black. So she found out number one, who she thought was her biological father was not, and then to find out that I'm not even biracial. This white man is not even my father for real. That's got to hurt, man. And I'm just wondering, and not to judge the mom, but how could you live with that for 45 years?
Yeah.
Like, and you coming out maybe with the child's 18. How could you live with that shame and guilt or believe that lie? You told yourself that lies. You had to hold on to that for 45 years and feel no guilt. You lied to yourself hard enough to say, you know what? I believe it my damn self. And then when they
Yeah.
find out, now you're hurt. Like, how dare you?
And that's why some people can't be helped, because their problem is that one root, is that one secret. And people come off as they have 10 problems. Again, you focusing on the leaves, but it's really this one thing, this one secret that's really got them in a chokehold. And again, this is why I heal, because I want to be there in my kids' life to the capacity I can be there. Some years is going to be more than others. I'll put it like that. But when I'm there, I want to be whole. I want to be together. I don't want to have this big skeleton in the closet and the kid just keep trying to open the door like, what's in there? And I'm like, no, don't touch that door. I want it to be a safe space. I want you to be able to go in any room you want to. There is no skeletons, there's no secrets, there's nothing to hide. You know what I mean? So it allows you now to live in that in the future. And this is what a lot of people end up regretting, because again, they did 99 right, but it's that one thing.
Yeah.
The 99 is the leaves. The one is the root, is the whole tree. Like, you can't let that be the problem. You got to come to terms with that.
Exactly. So that's the thing, is like, when I felt like, man, nothing is happening right in my life, I had to steal away for those 2 years. It wasn't hard for me to give up sex, bro. I don't use that as a bragging that I was celibate for 2 years. I don't use that. You know what I'm saying? And I tell people that was at the height of my DJism in the Columbus nightlife. So if that
I can hear you.
that was at the height. So if I wanted some ass, that was nothing. That was no.
Right.
But I realized that I was spiraling. I was spiraling so bad that everything was happening to me. Homeless, no money, this, that, and the other. I had to back up. Okay, oh, what's the root? What's really happening here? And then going forward. So now what made me strong out of those 2 years is that when I see something taking root, I have to get away from it. You know what I'm saying? Quickly, because I see the cycle. I see what can happen when you lie to yourself, to other people. I can see what's done in the dark will eventually come into the light and then cause people to separate from you or cut you out of their life and things of that nature. So now people sit up here and think that I sit on a high horse when I get on these platforms and talk, and like, how can Layne be so judgmental and stuff like that? No, this is not fake, man. I really believe in strengthening these families and strengthening our men, and really promoting, not preaching. Stop lying to yourself and stop lying to other people. Be honest. Nobody's going to take their belt off and whoop you. You are no longer. So you have no reason to lie. If you don't want to be in that relationship anymore, tell that person before you go to the next person. If you like that job anymore, it's okay. You don't have, you know what I'm saying? It's like people are so afraid of hurting feelings, but you're hurting yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And there's 100%. And that's how it's easy to get trapped in that manipulation. And this is why it's so important to give to yourself. You got to start planting your own roots. You got to start planting your own apple trees, because that's how they'll get you. They'll plant that tainted root, but they're like, oh, it's cool though. Apples is gonna grow for it. And if you ain't got an apple tree at home, you gonna wait around. But if you got 3 at home, I ain't tripping over them apples.
Yeah.
People don't understand. That's why I do so much. It's not from a standpoint of being arrogant. It's from when I go to this next opportunity and they have this unrealistic expectation of what they want me to do, I can walk away from it because I've already created enough opportunities for myself. I don't need this. Yes, it would be nice, and I would be grateful if I get it and it works out, but I don't need it. And that's why I put all those things in place, because then I'm negating being manipulated. I grew an apple forest, so I don't have to trip and wait if your tree is good or not, or if you even gonna give me an apple once it grows. It doesn't matter to me.
Man,
And I can tell you what to use to grow 3 of them. You feel me? So this is why I go the high frequency route. This is why I go the path I go. It's because I'm going to become a service just through living my life, just through the way I talk, just through the way I analyze and process things. That's getting to our higher self. It's not being rich. It doesn't mean that, you know what I mean, you don't tell a fib or two. You ain't always going to be on time places. Like, we're not perfect. We have to become comfortable with being imperfect. You know what I mean? And that's what you said. That's what really sums up this whole journey. It's acceptance. It's not about judgment. It's not about living up to a standard. It's not about validation. It's that you accept that everything that comes with this path, and two, that you made the right path for you, regardless of what you hear around you, regardless of what you see. No, you got to know. You got to prove to yourself that you know. And we do that by taking certain steps. You know what I mean? By not engaging in toxicity, by not instigating things, by
You know,
not keeping things going online. You feel me? Like
it's
we do it every day.
good morning. It's so funny. It's so funny that there was a comedian, and I'm going to say this, and I don't care about the smoke because you shouldn't have did what you did, and I don't care nothing about the smoke because what you did still sends ripples through the city and tears down my reputation. We want to talk about reputation, right?
Yeah.
So this comedian was dealing with somebody that I used to deal with. So, you know, when you deal with somebody, there are some things that you divulge and you disclose to that person that you feel will be kept tight to the vest. Well, now that the comedian was dealing with this person, right?
Uh-huh.
He's going on stage after stage using my name and telling my horrific history. Well, what he didn't realize is that during those 2 years, I went on platforms and said that I didn't pass the test several times when it came to my altercations with women. You know how men are supposed to walk away and be that stoic person. In my lifetime, I didn't pass the test. So I'm not going to divulge I'm not going to disclose what happened during those times, but I didn't always pass that test. So he's going on stages and talking about my molestation when I was, you know what I'm saying, when I was little, right? Not knowing that I wrote a whole article in a blog that
Yeah.
out right after Africa Bambaataa was exposed, not knowing that, you know, I told in detail what happened. I'm also going to tell in detail what happened in my book. But at the end of the day, I came to this truth myself. So in true Eminem fashion, there's no stage that you can get on that I will be embarrassed about or say, oh my God, I did that. I've already came to my truth. I've come out with my truth. So you consider yourself trying to embarrass me. Actually, the universe is going to get you, my friend.
Exactly.
You are the miserable one. You are showing that
Exactly.
by getting on stage, worried about me. You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, I don't care about none of the smoke because you shouldn't have did what you did. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I never came at that person in such a way. I said, get him, God. Do what it is that you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
not say or do anything. But my point was, when you don't lie to yourself and you live in your truth, people can't sexy red you. They can't, you know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
You
Thank you.
can't R. Kelly you or whoever has been exposed. They can't Chris Brown you because at the end of the day, no, I didn't make all the right decisions when it came to certain things. Or there were things that had been placed upon me when I was younger that I was victimized by that I can't undo. But at the end of the day, you're not going to put this in a mirror in front of my face like, you did this, you did that. Bro, I already told everybody that did that. Yeah, man, get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. And that to me is what separates, you know what I mean? Because you see this happening a lot nowadays with comedians. Because, you know, they're funny, but a lot of them don't be real. And that to me is what be separating the Dave Chappelle's from the Faison Loves. And I'm not saying Faison Love didn't have a good career, but the type of
Yeah,
reputation you built, it was harder for you to get these good jobs, these good roles. You
right.
could go from working in 4 movies in a year and make a certain amount of money, and one person only got to do 1 movie in a year. They'd have made 4 times that. They get to go be with their family. They get to take the year off. They done filming, and I feel like people like him got to keep working because of the reputation you build. You burn bridges everywhere you go. You tell
Right.
people's personal stories. You talk about things people told you in confidence or that you shouldn't even know. And that's why, again, I don't tell people how to live their life, but
Yeah.
you better be expecting something to come back with what you put out. And it's going to be equal to what you put out. It ain't going to be no less or no more. You're going to get
Man,
your
people
just
was
desserts.
people was DMing me and be like, bro, I'm at this concert and man, it ain't even cool what this man is saying on stage. And I had to eat it. Like, hey, okay, well, I can't help what actually happened. I don't know what's fabricated. I don't go to the shows, but
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, people just DMing me like, man, this dude is really he's getting away from comedy and just really just telling all your business. And I was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow. Why? But why?
So you don't want to get booked again, huh? So you're done? You're retiring? Is
Yeah,
that what I hear?
word. You know,
But and that is what I meant about, you know, the Tupac thing. He accepted, like you've accepted. All of this comes with it. This is what I asked for. I asked to be in the public spotlight. My life could have been completely private if I wanted to be, but it's not, and that's
Right.
cool. And there's a lot of things that come with it. But that's when us staying focused on what we're doing, we rise above that. We ignore it. It's a gnat at a barbecue. I ain't about to put my plate down. You know what I mean? Just go shoo you away. Like it ain't changing nothing I'm doing. And it's not gonna steal my joy because you didn't build that. You didn't invest in that. You didn't put in that. You just trying to tear it down. You
Yeah.
feel me? So when we build these strong foundations in our life, they just scratching at the wall. It ain't nothing naked. I don't even know you out there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
But the point is, I want people to understand, and including Wiley or whatever, when people try to tear you down, you know, stand on your truth, stand on, like you said, we're not perfect people, and I will run to the grace that is provided for me. I will not run to the opposition that opposes me. I will
Right.
run to the grace. That's why I says I will always go where I'm celebrated, not tolerated. You know what I'm saying? Once I feel the toleration, like, man, you're just tolerating me, you're not
Yeah.
giving me the love that I really need. You know what I'm saying? Or you doing some half-ass shit just to keep me around. I'm out, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because we are. Think about a plant, and I want everybody to think about a plant or a car. When that plant is truly watered and cared for, and you're giving it the right nutrients, the right amount of sunlight, and you're really doing your best to manicure that plant grows so vibrantly and it gives back to you. When you half-ass it and you water it when you feel like it, when you know, if I might give it some food today, I might not. When you do the bare minimum when it comes to something or someone, you're going to get half-ass results. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the plant doesn't tell you, well, let's wait till the weather gets better. The plant doesn't tell you, let's wait until all the conditions are right for
Right.
for you to do what you need to do. Because sometimes the best watering is done in the winter. The
Mm-hmm.
best nurturing is done in the winter. So when the sun does come out, that thing is
It's
sprouted
ready
up
to go.
and ready to go. But we half ask each other and we lie to ourselves and be like, well, I love this person. But you don't do none of the shit to show them that I really
Yeah.
do, or I really do appreciate you. I'm just going to give you what I want to give you. And there it is. You know what I'm saying? And we want
Yeah.
to get half-ass results when it comes to people. Don't be afraid to go above and beyond. Don't be afraid to think outside the box so that way you can get more. You get more back in return. When we were talking about full circle, you can't, and I'm going back to my religious roots. You can't beat God's giving. The more
Mm-hmm.
you give, the more he gives to you. The more you give, it comes back to you. So we have to be afraid. We have to stop being afraid of treating people above and beyond certain things. We can see when we're sowing, you know what I'm saying? I think Wally's just trying to come in.
Okay.
We can sense.
Yo.
Hey, we can kind of have a sense when we know when we're casting our pearls before the swine. And once you realize that,
Mm-hmm.
that's stop it immediately.
But this is why I love what you just said, because I think this is going to tie in for a lot of people. You know what I mean? I think this is the beauty of why I don't fully denounce religion, because
Mm.
religion is just a belief, and everyone has a religion or should have some type of religion, something they believe in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is why these things are in place. No different in spirituality. This is why you have mantras. This is why you have affirmations. And
Right.
sometimes what people are doing is they are already trying to go above and beyond. They are trying to deal with their life with no safety net. They jumping out of planes with no parachute, no harness, no nothing. They don't have these religions set in place. You dig what I'm saying? And that's what I tell people. When I say I grew up on religion, I grew up on gang religion and mob religion, and they have a sturdy religion. It's what they use in the military, and it
Mm,
works. They take the most mismanaged people and they turn them into a product. I'm
mm.
not saying it works for the better, but it works. And what they doing is changing people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the mob used to have religion set in place is because you can't just be out in the world walking around thinking you know everything. And you're just so secure and content. Nothing can hurt me. Nothing can break me. No, fear is a good thing. Fear is what's going to keep you alive. You
Mm-hmm.
just can't live a fearful life of everything. You got to fear the right, real danger. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's what's been creating this delusion in people, and we've gotten away from those cultures. We gotten away from those. Religion is down across the board. Every religion is down. People are just following religion less. They're following these guidelines less. And this is what these things I think about. As soon as I seen the Sexy Red thing, it's what I think about what they used to say in the mob. Like, you should never break the law while you breaking the law. Like, if you're gonna live on the fringes of the world in the darkness, you got to be perfect. You can't make no mistakes out there. So if you want to be able to make mistakes, you gotta live in the light. You gotta be able to expose that. You gotta be able to acknowledge that and accept that. Like, y'all fucked up. You gotta be able to laugh when there's a room full of people and you trip when you're running this shit. Like, you
Listen,
you have to live in the light. You dig?
listen. That's why I couldn't. People think I'm bullshitting. I couldn't be a player because I was worried about getting broken, hurt myself. I couldn't be. I
He was
couldn't
a
be.
lover, ladies and gentlemen.
I couldn't be a dog.
Layne Luv. Look, Layne Luv.
I couldn't be. I couldn't be a dog like my boys because like they could boom and be out and not have one conscious. But I was like, if I can't get in this game and not have a conscious, this ain't for me. You know,
Yeah.
but you
But
know,
I think that's what on the psychological level shows there's no hate. I think those guys that ran too loved a lot. They just are afraid of love. They don't like when love blossoms, and then you got it, like you said with the plant. Now you gotta take care of it. So they want the feeling of love, but actual love is maintenance. Actual love is sacrifice. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Actual love is hardship and then learning to mend that hardship. So
yeah,
they just get close enough and then dip out. But again, now someone could look at that and say that's working for them. And I would say you're not looking 20 years in the future of where that's going to take them.
right.
So a lot of things seem like it's working for you right now. But my generation knows, and we knows, even look at these health effects. It's going to take about 10, 15, 20 years
That
before you
part.
really start seeing how much it's hurting you. So yeah, it can feel good right now. But in 10 years, when you start growing another head out your neck, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it.
I'm trying and don't be trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like I really want to create that analogy. If you laid down and had them children and you trying to get Big Mama to do certain things that she don't want to do, don't blame Big Mama. Big
Yeah.
Mama live her life. Let Big Mama live her life and you find somebody else to do
Well,
it. Because
no, not necessarily all the way true. I don't, because again, we all a product of something. So just because somebody cannot comprehend or wasn't taught a certain way doesn't mean that you shouldn't be there to help them along the way. And not saying enable them to
I don't
continue the same thing.
I see what your side, and I'm gonna say from what I hear, Delane was saying, because what I hear is something I actually agree in what he's saying. I think things quote unquote skip generations because the Big Mama spirit, as we know it, not just in general, but the one, because when we say Big Mama spirit, we talking about Big Mama's house, Big Mama with the slides and the gown. That's what I'm talking about. So I think that energy needed a generation to rest because things need rest too. Sometimes we're just always working things like how we do computers, phones. You're supposed to turn your phone off every day and turn it back on. Like, how many of us actually do that? You dig what I'm saying? So, like, I think that Big Mama spirit is taking a rest. And that's not saying it's not in the game at all, but it's saying it's now on me to step up more. This is a lesson I had to learn, like, when I lost my uncle, who was, like, the closest thing to me because he used to help me out with so much.
mm-hmm.
I thought it was personal. You know what I mean? When I lost him, I'm like, damn, am I being punished? Like, is God mad? But really, it was my season. I had to learn to do more for myself. I had
Mm-hmm.
to learn to go research being a dad. I couldn't just call him up no more. I had to learn how to cut my own grass. I couldn't just go over to him teach me no more. So it taught me you can't take people for granted in that time you have them because they might be gone the next season. Because
Right.
sometimes they need rest. So sometimes we're so expecting and needy of help, we don't allow people to rest and we're not doing it for ourselves. So like, but I do see what you're saying too, Alicia. That resting don't mean you out the game. As a parent, If I'm taking a nap and I hear something crash, I got to get my ass up off the couch.
Right.
I can't just go back to sleep and act like I didn't hear nothing. Sometimes you're called out of rest, but we got to start learning to just allow people to rest. And when we do that by doing things for ourselves during that season.
Young fella, let me speak to you real quick. The world economy is bad. You got plenty of time to have sex. I promise you, even if you're 50 or 60 years old, you plenty of time to smash. Okay. And honestly, you're going to be in a better position to smash if you up 6 figures, 7 figures, or whatever true that your heart desires. But in this time, it is time to grind. Okay. You know what I'm saying? If the woman is down with you, she should also be down to let you grind so that way you could prepare for her future. So let's stop blaming society that you can't get a job. If you need three jobs right now, go get those 2 to 3 jobs to equal that one job. But at the end of the day, she gonna leave you anyway if you broke.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
gonna,
And we got the hustle. I think my generation, yours, we can't deny the hustle. What I see missing in a lot of people is you don't have a plan. I
yeah.
was talking to Waleisha's son yesterday about this, like, and he has a solid plan, and he's like, everybody doesn't agree with the plan, but it's my plan, and I love the plan, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
That's then where you put a period on that sentence.
But
There's nothing more to add to it. I love my plan. Stick to your plan, and that doesn't. And I had to tell him, and it's the same thing I'm gonna tell y'all. That doesn't mean your plan's gonna go where you want it to go, but that means you trust it in yourself. You put that faith in yourself. You know what I mean? You're honoring yourself. So when
yeah,
we start doing these things, you attract people who want to honor you. They want to stick to your plan. They want to help you out. But you got to be the first person to commit to that plan
exactly.
today.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Today.
and, and And if a person leaves you because you are grinding, that means the universe didn't have them for you
Mm-hmm.
anyway, right? That wasn't your person. So if you are getting backlash like, well, you're gone too much, this, that, and the other, and you know you're doing the right thing. You're not out there cheating on that person, or you're not out there doing certain things to go against your plan and your purpose. It might be best that that person does go their separate way while you sit up there grinding. Really, as Brother Samuel says, you shouldn't be looking for love while you're in grind mode anyway. That, love is for when you're flourishing and but if you just so happen to get somebody along the way, she should be that, Betty Shabazz that's going to help push from up under
Yeah.
and be beneficial to you getting to your purpose. So I'm telling the
Yeah.
fellas, if you are in grind mode and you don't have that solid support system, you probably shouldn't be looking for love right now.
And a new lane for these young fellas that I had to learn in my 20s is just be your friend right now. If y'all meant to be happily ever after, how you dreaming it, be your friend right now. Y'all gonna get there. Y'all don't have to be there today. Married, happy, got everything figured out. You know what I mean? Just be that friend and get to know them on a different level. A new that's a new level of communication that I feel like relationships are starving for right now. And it's that friendship aspect. What you think, Walisha?
No, for sure, I agree. I'm sorry, I'm over here double duty in it, listening to you.
Already see active.
But no, I think it's true in terms of, I've been saying this since I've been single. It's like it's been challenging to desire a partnership because personally I didn't get divorced to be single. I got divorced because it wasn't equaling what I knew partnership should be for me
Hmm.
and what I got to do. And so, am I still here?
Yeah, you here. He not.
Oh, he go. Okay, he stepped out. Okay, he went. Okay, yeah. So I think that it's like I've been saying that, and so it's challenging to desire something, and but then also wants the friendship, and you can't. Sometimes you can't get both.
Right.
Sometimes you can't get both in opposite or same sex relationships. You cannot get them. Like, and I'm learning that now. Like I'm in a learning stage of it all where it's like I know what I desire because of the energy and I guess too what I think I know it to be based on my past experience. But I
Hmm.
think um finding that balance of just being somebody's friend, like, and that's one thing that people like they really can't say that I have not been a friend. Like If you left, you had to leave on your own accord, basically.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and that's even for people who've done me wrong, like up front. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but what I'm
Right.
saying is that I just don't hold grudges. Like at the end of the day, people sometimes are in the place where they're at, and I give them grace to be there. Like, okay, look, you a bum right now. I give you grace to be a bum because you either choosing something or you pray for something, like
And that's a
whatever.
good friend to me.
Right. And I'm gonna still be there, like bummy and all.
Right.
Um, certain things I guess I won't befriend, obviously, for various reasons, just to protect myself and my energy. But it's not saying that I'm gonna be judging somebody and where they are in life.
Right.
But that's what I think has been on me. Like I think that it's easier when you're doing things that people don't know about, they assume. It's easier for them to judge like and also take away the friendship based on that. Like
Yeah.
for instance, like I said, I could be homeless and a bum, probably may not lose as many friends, but I could be a divorced mother and it's like, oh, can't be friends with her no more. She don't believe in marriage or, like
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that two-way street too. And sometimes that's the delusion we allow ourselves to live in as friends. And to me that comes from not giving yourself enough grace of the type of person you are. When
right,
I hear people say like, "Oh, I would have did that for them," but yeah, they not you.
right.
You know what I mean? They not you. So
I'm
that's
like,
that's not a
oh, though,
fair
like
measuring
really.
stick for them. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and I used to get upset in those situations. Obviously, this isn't the outcome I desire. I'm upset. But I started to learn more value. I see more value about myself. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
And so I'm like, okay, this is how it was designed to go. And it's 11:11 right now. But I'm
And
like,
I was just about to say, that's been a lesson that I've been learning in terms of letting people go, like, and understanding the season. Like, it's been challenging, some of my personal situations. So it's been challenging to let certain people go and then turn around at the end of the day with like, but they left. Okay,
exactly.
thank you. But exiting the stage left because, at the end of the day, people are like, for me personally, I got to be okay with that. I got to be okay with I'm a
Yeah,
people person, and I meet people. I meet tons of people every day. Every day of my life, I meet a ton of people, like literally. And out of that, some people like instant friend, like it's an instant
yeah,
like
yeah,
locked in. You know what I'm saying? That's just how my life is, and I'm open and I'm accepting of that. That um, it's not bound by financial status or your past histories to a degree. You know what I'm saying? Like it's bound by who you are in this moment right now. Who you showing up to be right now
yeah,
is what we still in a deal on. And if
yeah,
tomorrow you decide you want to be somebody other than what we agreed upon on, you're free to do that.
yeah.
By all means, do that. Now I may not sign again on a dotted line, but I also ain't gonna bash you. I'm not gonna send no ill will to you. I'm not gonna
Try
send no
to
negative energy to you. I'm not gonna be like, oh, God, get them. No, I'm not
right,
doing that. I'm gonna let you be the best you're choosing to be.
right. And I think that is why I put the foundation of my life to be spirituality. That's why I've always wanted to connect with the spirit because then just like you said, Walisha, I'm sure Layne can agree too. Like we meet a lot of different people, sometimes unexpectedly. Sometimes I'm
Yeah,
thinking I'm about to go home and somebody like, yo, they having a party over here, pull up. Like, all right, let's go network. Let me hit this U-turn. I gotta
exactly.
go meet 15 new people real quick. Let me go. You know what I mean? So this is why I lean on the spirit sometimes because, like Walisha said, you'll come up to a lot of people then, and I have the ability and the opportunity to help, and I really don't know what to do if I should or not. I'm gonna be honest with myself. I don't know. So then I lean on the spirit, I lean on that discernment, I lean on my gut and my instinct because it'll tell me different things. I don't know if y'all have experienced this, but it'll tell me different things.
Hmm.
Sometimes I go out to help someone and I'm like, I'm only here for 10 minutes. But the
Hmm.
universe is like, you need to be here for 2 hours.
That part.
And sometimes I told that person I only got 15 minutes. Sometimes I didn't even bring up the time. I got caught, I took my shoes off. Like, all right, go ahead. What's going on? because that was in my spirit. My spirit was telling me you need to be here right now listening to this person. And that's why those things have to be private, because to someone on the outside looking in, they're like, oh, you know, Layne, Tim, Wally, they do this for everybody. And nah,
Yeah.
nah. A higher feeling, force led me here. It kept me here. So I stayed. I submit to that force. I listen to it.
I just wish that this, and I know this is wishful thinking, and I know this is the sentimental part of Layne, but I really wish that a lot of the terminated relationships ended amicably. But for whatever reason, when the universe pushes someone out of my life, they push it, and and it's a harsh push. I'm like, man, why can't we just all, go out? Because like if me and you, Tim, come to an understanding, like you're going left and I'm going right, I would like amicable. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to be where, we have to have strife. And that's what I wish, like you said, you don't know who's going to come in and out of your life. Hey, Jessica, that's my sister in Houston. You don't know who's going to come in and out of your life. But when that time of that season is up, it doesn't have to end harshly. You know what I'm saying? But then, like you said, following the spirit and discernment, it's a feeling. That's why I love that song by India Irie, says he is the truth. And it feels so real. I can tell by the way I feel. She said, and you know the truth by the way you feel. You know when somebody's going to be around for the long haul. You can feel it. You can feel that camaraderie. You can feel, and then let's say there's friction in that long-term relationship. You can feel that, and because you built enough relationship, you can patch that up. Vice versa, somebody where like we're never going to be on the same wavelength, and it's probably you can feel these things if you're really in tune with who you are in the spirit.
Yeah, and that to me is what unites us all. That's why it always leads back to where I have to tell Christians, I don't hate y'all through my rhetoric. I know it seems aggressive, you know what I mean? But this is where it all leads back to, we are the same people. That's being Christ-like. And that's what my generation now, we're forcing our kids to understand. Again, Jesus hung with the pimps and the criminals and the prostitutes. Sometimes I got to be in the trenches helping these people. And I lived my life to build this security around you. So I'm leaving you with your mom. I'm leaving you with your dad because I trust them. I built enough foundation around them. I know you're going to be alive when I come pick you up this weekend. So sometimes that's the best I can do for you, because I got to pull my people out the trenches too. They got kids too. They got people that love them too. It's not fair for me just to make sure my family's secure and my neighbor got to struggle and suffer when I can help.
Right,
So
right.
so yeah, it's going to be harmful seemingly to my kid in that moment, but some kids get it. My kids get it.
Right,
they
right.
they think I'm just going to save the world. They don't ever think he leaving to go get some milk and not come back. They know I'm gonna come back because I always come back. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean by, sometimes we just gotta trust a person's process. We can't see it. We want, like you said, we want to investigate. We need the facts. But our love for them is just trusting that they know what they're doing. And that's sometimes why my generation feels defensive, like we're being attacked. Because sometimes it seems like we're just being critiqued in what we're doing. But sometimes your love for me is just trust me. I got it. Like, just trust me. You feel me? And that's the boost we need sometimes to get it done. This is why everything's connected. That to me is faith. That's when everybody steps in their position. Now I can rise. But if one person steps out of line, they're probably the person doubting this, and that could make everything fall apart.
And go ahead, Walisha. You had a point.
Oh no. You listen, we vibing. We
Okay.
vibing.
So I wanted to expound on
I was doing like I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She in the zone.
I wanted to expound on what Tim said, because I remember the guy who is the lead actor for Zatima. I can't think of his name, but he was on the it's a show Tyler Perry made on BET, but I like the characters because he acts with his wife's best friend. So they have love scenes and all these things together. And I just wonder how this works. Like, you really lip lock with your best friend but if you look at their relationship is beautiful, man. I'm talking about the husband and wife. But then he said that there has been rocky roads, but there's never been a time that he didn't know that was his wife, that was his soulmate. There's never been a time. So even there was a time that he said that he couldn't get in touch with his wife for like 8 hours, right? And then by the time he did get in touch with her, you know what I'm saying, she said she was asleep. So everybody on the Breakfast Club and all in the comments were like, man, if you fall for that, da 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 da. And he came back with the most manly answers. Like, even if that was the case, my heart doesn't tell me that. You know what I'm saying? And even if it was, that's on her. We got over it. You know what I'm saying? If she disappeared for 9 hours, because we want to project our trauma. We want to, as us in the comment section, even myself, wanted to project our trauma on their relationship. And this is the problem with social media.
Yeah.
Our trauma on other people. But that man said, I trust my wife, and they are going stronger to this day. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, if there's nothing you can do about it, why do I have to put all these emotions on me while somebody doing me wrong? Why should I
Yeah.
have emotions on
To
myself?
me, and I won't say for everybody's case, because I've been in that situation. I had to heal that part of myself. But to me, that comes a lot a part of the guilt of how you live in your life. When I was in the streets and I didn't care about my health and I didn't care about certain things, my life went a certain way.
Yeah,
And when I got with faithful people, I could never think that you was gonna be faithful because I was doing you dirty the whole time.
yeah,
So I knew too much, and more importantly, I got away with too much.
yeah,
So then when you just chilling, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker getting away with something. Like, because I did that and it wasn't seen. So I know, you feel me? And that's why you have to walk your path. And your path is that gut feeling telling you this is right. This feels good. Because then you don't have to live with that guilt. You don't have to, like Layne said, you don't have to project this trauma onto your partner. And a lot of partners, y'all are good compatibility wise, but y'all battling each other's trauma. And some people get tired and throw the white towel after a while. Like, people don't want to do that the rest of their life. They want to love you, but you hard to love.
yeah, man. I'm telling you, and like you said, sometimes it's not a matter of what you're doing in this moment. Sometimes my projected trauma is the things that I used to do, and I just be like, oh my God, I'm a changed man, but I'm like, oh my
Here
God,
comes karma. Here it comes.
the stuff I used to do, man.
And
And
that's why we gotta heal, because that's just another unhealed part of ourselves. The unhealed parts of ourselves are just playing patty cake. That's why we have to heal everything, because they'll start clicking together in our mind and become this whole big trauma ball. You got to start healing these things one by one so they can't click up. They can't work against you. You know what I mean? Because all of that is self-inflicted. All of that is our own mind and our own fear of what can happen. And those are the things I release. This is what I tell people when I say release. I release that guilt of what I did in the past.
yeah,
I release versions of myself that didn't know any better.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I release feeling like I got to be responsible for the people that felt like I hurt them. Like, I release these things.
So
yeah,
that brings it full circle from when, like, the first conversation that we were having, when I was saying how I've been able to overcome my situation, because it's like I'm living like real life. Like, I've seen men in my situation before. I've seen men out of the home after the separation, and the things that were said, the things that were intentionally done to make him skip a couple of beats. And now I'm living that. Like, real talk, had to experience. I got recordings. I got like, but none of that matters.
yeah,
None of that even matters, that a person is living their existence to try to bring me down either further than what I was in my lowest. None of that matters. Actually matters is that, damn, I really got something to do in this world.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
and the more I tap into, I have a purpose, I am here for a reason, then it gives me the energy to understand that everything for the people, especially my little ones that are attached to me, is going to work out for them. And and the things that they need to help shape them and build them into the strongest character, that they can be, they're going to experience that on both ends. Like, I try my best to give them everything I know that they need, and whatever I feel that they need, I'm giving them that. Experiences alone, like our summer, I was telling Tim, we had so much fun every single day of the summer. We'd had an adventure, an experience.
yeah,
Um, but I just wanted to tap in on how it was full circle. Like
It was.
I
Okay.
got rid of just even holding some energy for that person or for other people that find a reason to, what's your problem with me today? You know, I try to
Yeah.
stay focused on the things that I've learned, and then I go based off a post. I may see a post that trigger like, oh, y'all need to know this information about birth work. Y'all need to know this here about going to the hospital. Or y'all need to know this about parenting. You know, like y'all need to know this about, there's
I'm
a post about circumcision. So as much as I try to stay in my lane and do my own thing, I understand that people are gonna have, they're gonna have something to say about it.
well. I've learned this. This is my final thought. Um, I've found my power in silence and removal. I've found my power in silence. Every thought doesn't have to be said, and I don't have to be everywhere to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And once I got my power there, I've I've started stop proving myself less to people. I've stopped wanting to be right so much. You know what I'm saying? And from that not wanting to be right, it put myself right into the alignment of self-discovery. Like, okay, they may not figure it out now, just as Tim said, man, when it hit me, my big brother was right. You know what I'm saying? Um, DJ, are y'all still with me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
That was DJ Hollywood. I want to do a quick plug, so I'm gonna call him right after I get off. I'm gonna let them end the show, but I have to get with DJ Hollywood. That is the originator of hip hop music, and he's going to be in the new upcoming podcast, Hip Hop 50. So that is DJ Hollywood.
Hey, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm gonna give. But my final thought is this: before you call that woman a hoe, make sure you check her trauma. You know what I'm saying? As Tim said, you know, she could be afraid to love. That young man could be afraid to love. That young man could be starving for real. And that's why he's out here in these streets. He has no village. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to stop putting these people in these boxes that we conveniently want and really dig deeper when it comes to grace. You'll find out that you will empathize more. You'll find that you will give a little bit more grace. And then in the areas that you can't give grace, you can remove yourself until you find yourself in a safe place to revisit that brother or that sister that maybe you had conflict with or your spirits just don't match. We have to understand that there is power in silence and removal, right? We don't always have to solve the problem today. There's been situations where me and Walisha did not agree, but she comes to class and has a new enlightenment, and we're like, "Oh, that's what you were saying. That's what you saying." Sometimes we can't understand in the moment. To the couples who can't seem to see eye to eye right now, it may be a patch and it may be time to let it go. But sometimes you have to go down that road, and your gut and your heart will tell you this cannot be matched at this time. So maybe it's time, but give it time, you know, give it grace.
Yeah.
And you never know, that person may come back to you and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong, or I see your point. And then you can move from that point. But we have to stop forcing ourselves on our ideology, our projections, our trauma. We have to stop forcing these things on people. But first of all, going back to Tim's point, and I'm gonna close on my end, I'm gonna let you guys end the show. Be real with yourself. And sometimes that is the most uncomfortable thing, is looking in that mirror and saying, yes, I fucked up with my kids. Yes, I got myself in this predicament. Nobody's coming to save me. I have to save myself. And when you get that to that point, that's when the bricks start coming together. That's when the things then and the universe says, okay, this person finally got the lesson, because you can't move to the next lesson until you learn this level right here. So when you start to learn that lesson, that's when things start coming together for you. But again, this was a perfect topic, Tim. Stop lying to yourself first, and then stop lying to other people about your situation, because that's all the world is becoming. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. But you still stay. What your man said on that college commercial? You ain't doing nothing with yourself. You just sitting on the couch. You know what I'm saying? And that job is not going to come to your door and be like, who is it? Job. No, you got to get out there and get it, baby. You know what I'm saying? And that is my final thought. I love you both. Thank you so much. Please end the show how we normally would, but I got to get this phone call, man. And great show. All right?
Get on
Yes, sir.
All right. Go
So
ahead.
I'm
yeah.
What'd you say?
I said I can go and then you can end it.
All right, go ahead.
Hey, mine. So I think too, yeah, that self control is ultimate when we're looking into relationships. People try to ultimately we're trying to control others based on our point of view, and
Yeah.
the least that and tap into self control, um, and working on self. I think we're better off, you know. And I agree with
Mm-hmm.
it too. As he ended out, like it's the time is now for us to have these dialogues, healthy dialogues, to gain more understanding and more wisdom from one another on how to move, how to coexist. Like the time is now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why you move that way, why, you know, like, oh, something happened to you. Okay, so that's why you move that way, because now we're going to experience somebody else, like the people that we are anyway, or in general, in your own atmosphere for y'all, all of y'all out there that's tuned in your own atmosphere, you're going to be able to take what happens to you in your years. And as you're healing from that, you're going to be able to help somebody else. And as you're helping others heal, you're going to be able to take those stories and those methods that they use to be able to help somebody else heal from something that you personally didn't even go through. But we have to have the dialogue. We have to start connecting. We have to be okay with talking about the root of the matter. You know, what's really,
Mm-hmm.
why you really got an attitude, why you really popping off at the mouth, why you really talking to this dude like this, why you really snapping at your children. Let's get to the bottom, because um I think I shared. I don't know if I shared with you. If I shared with him, I had a situation with a client and slash friend, which it gets kind of tricky. But it was just like I have to understand that and help people understand that there is a professional side of birth work, and then I got my personal side.
Right.
Because I come as a mother, I come as a friend, I come as all of these things naturally, but then I also have an experience, a professional experience. So I was trying to tell her something and she immediately went left, like you judging me and you this and that and the other. It's like, listen, I'm a professional, so if I see some shit, I'm supposed to say something. I'm your
Yeah.
professional. So damn, I feel doubly, you know,
Obligated. Yeah.
say some shit. And it went way left before, and I was like, but in my mind, I was like, no, you know what you got to do. Like my spirit was like, you ain't gonna rest. You're not gonna be easy until you open up your mouth and say what I'm telling you to say.
Yep.
And she even said, she was like, "Are you okay?" She touched me on my. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Man, my spirit is asking me to say some shit that I really don't want to say right now."
Yeah.
I really said it like in that manner, like really no accusatory, nothing. I was like, I gotta say some shit that I don't really want to say, and I had to tell her like, listen, some stuff with the baby, like we do certain things. I'm not gonna get into it because I know we're closing, but the parenting aspect of raising babies, we don't have the understanding of raising babies as though when it comes to nutrition, that they're going to be one of us at some point.
Right. Right.
So how we calculate how to feed them and how to nurture them and how to love on them at a younger age before they start doing on their own and being able to communicate with us, a lot of that shit is lost in the sauce.
Right.
And we're just doing we really
Was convenient. People too busy to do it the right way.
do the
Yep.
fast way. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure. So yeah, I close with that.
Ashe, and I think what both of y'all said just ties into what I have to say, and I think this is a part of one of the bigger roots of the problem, and a lot of people are disconnected from God. That's why I love that we bring every aspect on the show as far as the universe and God, because God means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Right.
But to me, once you start having a relationship with God, whatever, however you view it to be, you'll start to understand what's happening to you is not personal. And a lot of times what's happening to you is preparing for something that's set up for you in the quote unquote future, but
Right.
down the line, you know what I mean, ahead of you. So you can't take it personally. You can't take it like this is a personal attack. You can't take it like, why am I here? You know what I mean? I got opportunities now to go speak with young men, that just got out of prison and that's in prison. Like, and
Wow.
I've spoken with so many men in and out the system, but I had never been in the system. You know what I mean? So when I went to jail, like I really wasn't tripping. You know what I mean? I was more so worried about like the things that need me to function and operate on the outside. Like I can't have a hand in those things. And just a phone call ain't gonna fix it. I don't use phones on the outside to fix it. I need to be there. You know what I mean? So that was the part that was eating at me. But just for a moment. And then I realized like the universe is telling me you gotta sit down. Like you gotta slow down, you gotta stop, you gotta rethink things, you gotta reevaluate. And once you get out of here, it's your choice if you go back to that old path or if you start carving a new one. It doesn't matter how much progress you've had in that path. If it's time to start a new one, it's time to start a new one. And I feel like when people ignore that, it's because that God voice in you, you know, you're calling it a demon or you associate it with somebody that hurt you. You know what I mean? And this is why I speak life into my children and into my tribe, because I need you to hear my voice when times get hard. I need you to hear my voice when you ain't got no more strength. You know what I mean? I need you to hear my voice when you picking up that burger versus that fruit. And that comes down to those little moments. To me, that's being Christ-like. That's being God-like. That's being in tune with the universe. That's being in line with your higher self. Because your higher self wants to help everybody. You know what I mean? But the part of you that needs to help people in a year has to protect you today because it sees things you don't see and it realizes more people need you than just this one. You know what I mean? And that person now is on their own path to learning how to live without you, learning how to do things on their own, learning how to apply more pressure because we live in that generation. Like I gotta watch people ask shit on Facebook. You could have looked up, you could have Googled. Like
Right.
y'all getting too needy, man. Like and me as a kid, I just think to look it up. I want to learn something. I'm going to the library and getting the book. I'm reading the book. Like I'm going to learn. It ain't about you dig if it's gonna happen or not. It's just when I'm going to learn it. And that's what I want to instill in people. But to me, I'm just being like God. I'm just being more God. Like that's to me is what I feel like God will be is. So that's what I be. That's what I put the most effort. That's what I put the most energy into. That's what I protect. That's what I set boundaries in. That's what I don't gossip about. That's what I don't, you know what I mean, instigate issues within people that practice this as well. I do my service to it. And that's the only thing that's important to me. And once people start finding that center of what God is to them, then the journey is just beginning. A lot of people can't relate to our process because we've been doing this almost 20 years. You over 20 years. You know what I mean? I'm almost at 20. Like your results aren't gonna look like my results. I've been doing this for a long time. And why you think right now you're worth something, I've been getting underpaid for a long time. Like you just getting started. And that is having that relationship with God because you're not going to rush a good relationship. You want to savor it. You want to
Right.
enjoy it. You know what I mean? So when we start seeing that as an internal relationship with ourselves, we're automatically going to be better to ourselves. Instantaneous. And if all of us start being better to ourselves, we create a better world. Not a perfect world, but a better world than what we got.
There it is.
I love y'all. Thank y'all for tapping in, tuning in. We here every Friday. You got anything going on this weekend?
Uh oh, I'm selling these pies.
Oh yeah,
Listen,
yeah. The
let
pies.
me.
Tell them about the pies.
Yeah. Hold on. These pies is
She about to
$15.
show them the pies.
Yeah. I know. I got your pie right here. Now,
Yeah, that pie was amazing.
how do I turn the cam? Can I turn the camera around to
I
show?
don't think you can.
Okay, so I have to do this here.
Yeah, you just gonna have to show them. Oh
Is
yeah,
it
that looks good.
is it showing, Tim?
Yeah, I can see it. It's a beautiful fall plum color.
Yeah, I'm gonna get y'all some. So yeah, that's going on. So I'm gonna be doing that. Uh this weekend, and I know I'm tagged on the post, so y'all more than welcome to message me if you want one at $15 a pie, 20 with delivery, and that's delivery of however many you want. But and what else is going on? Today's Friday.
Yeah,
Man, it's so great to do the show on Friday.
I
That's pretty
don't
much it. A
know.
lot of stuff going on this weekend, I know, in the city. Homecoming. It's homecoming.
Oh yeah, yeah, nice. Shout out to
So
the homecoming kids and the parents.
yeah, it's homecoming all around. I think it's OSU's homecoming.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of the. So yeah, that's going on. But what about you?
I'm resting this weekend, doing some external work, but I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna do a lot lighter lifting. And it's October. I'm getting ready for fall. I'm getting ready for the spooky shit immediately. So I'm excited. And this year we're gonna do some decorating and put some stuff up. I love Because all of this stuff is, all of this stuff is magic. All of these things are rituals. All of these things are traditions. So I love the tradition of Halloween as far as, you know what I mean? People coming together to decorate, people coming together to entertain, people coming together to excite or give new experience, or how people tell tales at the campfire. Like, I'm all about unity. I'm
Right,
not gonna get picky about how we unify unless people are getting hurt or they're in danger.
right, right.
Outside of that, I'm cool. Like, let's get together.
I think I haven't been able to celebrate Halloween as much as I've celebrated other things I really don't care to celebrate.
Yeah,
But now that I'm able to, I be feeling so awkward because it's like so many years I haven't, but I always wanted to. It was always a guilty pleasure thing. Like you're so evil and that and the other. And it's like, man, y'all up here in real life pretending to be somebody else every damn day. Come on now.
at
One
least we
day
could be honest about
I
it.
dress up as a superhero.
Yeah, but I love the spiritual side of it. Like, I mean,
Sure.
those forces are raised. That's undeniable. Anybody who's, in spirituality, certain times of the year, those forces are raised. So that just goes to show, a testament of our free will and our discipline. Because use that power. You ain't gonna see it, but you know what I mean. Like,
Sure.
you ain't gonna see a new refrigerator at your doorstep. Like, nah, I'm cool. You gonna take it in. Like, you gonna put some food in it.
That part, yeah.
So we got to start using the things that's already set out there. And yes, somebody said it at one time with ill intentions, but it's worked for us. It's allowed us some moment of clarity. It's allowed us some moment of unity, and that's a good thing. I don't dismiss holidays. I don't like holiday practices. If we got together and did like business brunches, if we got together and really did real baby showers, like how I feel they could go, versus how those kind of things go, and we bringing each other's books and education, and my gift is I'm signing you up for parenting classes.
Right.
See, those traditions and holidays, I would be all for it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that because I got some things in the work on the they're called blessing ways.
Okay.
And I actually hosted one before too in Tallahassee, but basically all of your key people, the people who was gonna ride and rock for you and your partner and this baby, those are the people that come to the blessing. Men and women both. However you design that. There's one with just women pouring into her, but it's not a whole. We're bringing all because the baby don't need all that shit. I'm
Yeah.
baby don't need all that. If the baby needs a support system, a strong support system, not some fucking onesie, not a whole box of fucking diapers that's gonna give them a rash here and there. That's polluted with a whole bunch of shit. No, they don't need none of that. Not 20 damn bottles and all these pacifiers. They need a support system. They got the support system. They ain't gonna never need no pacifier. That's like an American thing. Pacifiers is not like worldwide. They have them, yeah, you can get them worldwide, but it's not like a culturally it's art it's inducted into this culture to shut a baby up. Or why is the baby crying in the first place? What's so traumatic in the baby's world or what is so unpeaceful? Let me say I say traumatic. What is so unpeaceful in the baby world that's causing them to communicate in the way of crying? That's the only
Yeah.
way they what are they communicating to you? If they're not hungry, if they, if their bowels are moved, if they're not achy and it aches, what is causing them to cry?
Right. Because they
So
see something you don't see and hear it because their senses are heightened. They're more
exactly.
in tune with what's actually going on in the world.
While you pretending as though everything is all cool, the baby is picking up on cool. You ain't right. You need to get right. So and we can look at these other things as signs to really help us. But yeah, I'm with all of that. The blessing way is a big staple of showmanship when it comes to building community and village. Because again, if y'all having some problems in your relationship, I do a part where the man actually they make a promise to the man of the house. All the men that come to support him make a promise to him, one that they keep, one that they
Yeah, commitment contracts. And we're gonna talk about this next Friday because I want to touch on that. And I think you just kind of opened my eyes to, an opportunity where we can lead, like, healthy food and meditations in this ritual.
Let's get in this green room.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to talk about that, because I think we just put something together.
Yeah.
And I think that is where we can plant that seed that's gonna grow through both parties' life, the child and parent. Both of y'all are gonna be able to change from this experience. And not good or bad, but you're gonna change. Something in your mind is gonna spark now. And sometimes people learn just by watching you live your life. That's why the moves you make and the choices you make are so powerful. Because
Right.
sometimes you don't need to say like a baby. You don't got to say anything, but you're going to feel me. You're going to hear me. You're going to acknowledge my presence. You
Exactly.
dig? So, yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, we definitely going to touch on that next Friday. So I'm excited. I thank y'all for tapping in. Thank y'all for rocking with us. Yeah, I
Thank you.
like Fridays too. It's a different vibe.
Peace, peace, peace.
See y'all next Friday.
Guys, if you want some, ow.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right, peace.